And I can't find my shiny tailor. You can find your section. This is not from work. And everybody can hear me. I don't. Awesome. You should see how small.
It's just,
Let's call this meeting to order. All right, so we're gonna call the meeting to order. This is the meeting of the Village of Sherwood Hills Board of Trustees. Today is Tuesday, May 19th, 2026. The time is 6:01 p.m. Taylor, could you do the roll call, please?
yes. Barford. Lutterer. Lockley.
Yes, present.
Osvick.
Here.
Butchig. Here. Van Aston.
Here.
Okay, great.
And President Pro Tem, we have quorum.
Thank you. Approval of the agenda. Is there a motion to approve the agenda?
I'll move to the agenda. Second.
Okay. A motion by Brian, seconded by Rocky. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, that motion carries. Statement of public notice. Brian, has the meeting been properly posted?
Yes.
Is there anybody in the audience or online who believes otherwise? Seeing none, we'll proceed to procedures orientation. This meeting is broadcasted on Facebook, but we will not be hearing comments contemporaneously. Item number 6, public comment. This is an opportunity for community members to speak to the board. No discussion or action may take place at this time, though trustees may ask qualifying questions only. Speakers may be limited to 3 minutes. Is there anybody here who wishes to make a public comment? I'm going to select Tom Deacon.
Yes, yes. Oh, no. So, this is a temporary, audio equipment. And I wanted to first see if everyone has a handout. This is for, later in the agenda. Rocky has, some proposals that he'd like to discuss about renovations and equipment changes. And, you see the first thing on the list is audio and visual equipment for Village Hall. So, just to make it go a little smoother, I brought along a new speaker and a new wireless mic that hopefully will be stable and will work tonight. So if anyone would like to speak back?
Thank you.
Thanks, Tom.
That's the extent of my comments. Anyone?
Brings gifts.
Okay.
Yeah, my name is Scott Nagel. I live on Edge Hill. I've been in the village for 18 years. A little nerve-wracking for me to be speaking here, but I do have some comments. A show trial is a public proceeding where nothing is predetermined. I never predicted that I would experience one firsthand in Sherwood Hills. Last week, Trustee Lederer admitted a desire for leadership change, but cautioned you can't just accomplish that end by any means that suit you. Unfortunately, this board chose the means that suited them over the democratic ideals that should be our bedrock. There was a clear alternative. You could have held the hearing to bring the evidence into public view, which was your goal stated. You could have then voted no on removal, taking the position that the evidence did not support nullifying the votes of a majority of our electorate. You could then have urged a recall election based upon that now public record. Instead, you chose a path that bypassed the voters and exposed the village to unnecessary legal liability. The conduct I observed last week was really deeply concerning. Trustee Utchig lodged a formal complaint against Village President Imes, describing Imes' actions in terms of serious criminal offenses. Then, during the tribunal, Utchig claimed these terms were merely literary choices, and he didn't really mean them. This looks to me like willful ignorance or recklessness that puts the village at both legal and financial risk. Trustee Van Aston explicitly stated, if we're going to go legal, then I don't see the legal case. He admitted we had pared down a stack of grievances to keep it short, yet he did not recuse himself for this clear prejudgment, voting for removal. Trustee Lotfi presided over the hearing, stating in her opening that, quote, the witnesses shall testify under oath, yet no oaths were actually administered. When complainant Hans introduced new evidence in his closing statement, and IM's attorney tried to object, Lotfi shut down the objection, saying, quote, this is a quasi-judicial hearing. There's no rules of evidence here. Hearing those words asserted by a practicing immigration attorney in our country today was gravely disturbing and profoundly ironic. Was all this due process? Was this competence? Or was this itself gross neglect of duty? You set a dangerous precedent last week. By overturning a public election, you have signaled a lack of trust in the citizens of Shorewood Hills. I know a resident who has drafted a letter to this board, but is afraid to submit it, fearing bias or retaliation, like you just did in future village decisions. This is chilling. Process is just as important as the result. I urge the board to demonstrate trust in the people of Shorewood Hills by announcing a new election for the now open seats, rather than again bypassing the electorate through direct appointment. Please act with the wisdom our community deserves. Thanks.
Thank you. Are there any other public comments? Michael?
Everybody here online, I'm Michael Van Lanningham, 2704 Harvard Drive. First, I think given the agenda as it's presented, I would support moving the community center from the pool to 1008 Shorewood Boulevard. That central location may provide some cost savings that could be realized if the pool were to be rebuilt without a second story that would have to be accessible. Second, on leadership appointments, I want to caveat this because for the moment, we only have a presidential vacancy. We don't have a trustee vacancy, but the posted agenda implies we may have one imminent. So I'm going to speak to my understanding of code, and this is just my understanding. I'm only here representing myself, just a guy. State code village code actually allows our president, pro tem, to act as president in the absence of a serving president. That means that Trustee Lutfi, as pro tem, and I'll refer to you, that can continue to exercise those powers. State code allows for the board either to call for a special election or fill the vacancy with an appointment. Our clerk has said that state code prevents a special election from occurring between 1 August and the November general election this year. Wisconsin law does not set a time limit for filling this vacancy. You could choose to let the vacancy remain. Recently, a local village board appointed a new president after one had resigned, which had created vacancy without official board action. Our case is different, as we've heard. We have a presidential vacancy the board created, and unlike with a recall, voters did not automatically choose a replacement president. It may be unprecedented in Shorewood Hills, in fact, which hasn't had a president fail to complete their term since 1940. I am not sure if the village has ever appointed a president, in fact. Certainly our village has appointed trustees before. And with those, the last three, dating 2021, were the board voted to call for applications a month ahead of the appointment vote itself. The board received at least 2 applications each time, including Dietmar's. Kate at one point applied. The board did not publicly solicit applications ahead of this meeting or vote so to do. We recently held an election, albeit one that occurred prior to the presidential vacancy. In the last 2 vacancies, particularly in 2023, electoral performance alone was not a key consideration. The appointed trustee in May 2023 had not run in that spring's election. Well, after this meeting was noticed, a trustee yesterday privately solicited statements from residents who may be considered as candidates. As of 4 p.m. today, I didn't check after that, no candidates were listed for the leadership vacancies. Providing adequate notice of candidates for appointment offers residents a chance for input in who will lead their village. We should welcome this feedback and share decision-making rather than an exclusive, opaque, and rapid process undertaken without any board approval. I want to stress that I'm neither opposing nor favoring any candidate tonight or in the future. I'm advocating for what I view to be the most democratic way of choosing our leadership. In my view, elections are always a positive expression of shared governance and decision-making. The village is making strides towards this, whether by using ranked choice to inform committee appointments like you did before this meeting, or amending code to make the board the source of the appointment, or the board the source of appointments. We have 2 more elections this year. If you do not choose to leave the seat vacant, we should take advantage of that by scheduling a special presidential election for our irregular vacancy to occur during a normal election in November. Such an election could preempt claims of a predetermined outcome or ulterior motive last week, which the previous president has alleged, and could use as the basis of an appeal still. The absence of the 2 votes who voted no today could only further those claims, however baseless they may be. Giving all residents a say that takes into account recent events is fair to all. It will show your commitment to fair and open government, a principle in which many of you ran, and a standard you insisted upon in the process of removing the past president for gross neglect of duty. You all are in your seats thanks to public trust, so I'm asking you to trust the public. Thanks for your time.
Thank you. Are there any other public comments? Sam?
Like this mic is too loud. I have sat in this chair quite a few years. And I watched as our village fell totally apart over the last 5 years. So I understand why people would like to go slow now, because you haven't been sitting here for the last 5 years and watching it fall apart. You didn't watch as the committees disappeared. Now, you say that this was voted out by 3 board members last week, no 4. And they didn't really represent the village. Every trustee is a representative of the village. So when you say it's just 4, no, you have to look at all the votes that got those people elected to be a trustee. I know for a fact that Brian and Rocky both ran on the public platform of there is something dramatically wrong with our village and we need to fix it. And we have a terrible budget deficit that we need to get to work on. We don't really have the time now to go slow. We need to go forward. And, okay, I lost my thought because that happens. I also want to say that I do know that with John, he was asked twice, not once, but twice, with a full board, unanimous, asking him to retire. I have been asking him to retire for, I guess 2 years now. And he does not hear that term. And if we were to go forward and leave him on the board, we would have had yet another lame duck president sitting in that seat, because he had already demonstrated that he has lost the confidence of the board. And by virtue of what I know from people telling me in the village, which I talk to them all the time, the people in the village had also lost confidence in what was going on, particularly when they found out what our deficit was looking like and why we had gotten there. So I understand your desire to go slow. If anything, I would say you could potentially leave the trustee seat open, but I am not in favor of leaving the president's seat open. We need to move forward and quickly and efficiently. Last thing I want to say is that if that trustee seat is open, and I have been here through many a time when we have appointed someone to the seat when there has been a vacancy, I would really like to suggest that that should go to Gloria, because she is the one person who put her head above the foxhole, went out, got all the signatures required in order to run, knocked on every door in the village, and really tried to be a candidate for that position. So she may not be the right candidate, but I'm thinking if you are looking at democracy, she is the one who actually put herself forward, made a public platform, talked to the public, and that to me counts more than somebody coming in at the last minute and saying, oh, gee, I don't think I want to do all these steps. I'm just going to put out a notice that I want to now be a board member. But that's not right. So that's pretty much what I have to say. And thank you, Gloria, wherever the hell you are. Oh, pardon me, I didn't say that word. Wherever you are.
She was here.
Okay, fine.
Oh, it's right there.
Okay, there you go. Thank you very much. Good luck. No more closed sessions. I really want you to hear that.
Are there any other public comments? Yes.
Yeah, my name is Nate Miller on Columbia Road, and yeah, I usually don't talk at these board meetings, but I do want to make my voice heard. I feel like the last session was, I went into it open-minded, being convinced that John should be removed, and it wasn't convincing, and it was very disappointing. So hopefully he can let it go. The board wasn't able to. We need to find a way forward, and I guess my only suggestion, I don't know, I mean, I see the agenda, I don't know what the agenda is for putting in a president, but I would recommend not putting in someone who was recently elected, both for the optics and just for the divisiveness in the village. So I'm not sure why there isn't the other board members here. I guess I don't know all the politics and history of the board, but it will be my one suggestion. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other public comments? Yes.
I'm Kathy Killian from over on Harvard Drive, and the same as Nate, I don't really like speaking in public, but I felt I needed to come here tonight. I disagreed with the outcome of last week's Board of Trustee meeting. I urge you to not take up the agenda items tonight to name a new president and backfill a trustee position. I would like to see the village hold a special election to choose a new president. Allow all residents to have a say through the elective process. Thank you.
Are there any other trustees? Fred?
I just want to address one issue that was alluded to in one of the earlier comments, which turns on, oh, I'm sorry, Fred Wade, 1121 Wellesley. The idea that you somehow overturned an election that happened 2 years ago. We just had an election and 2 new trustees were elected. And it's equally important to respect their election and how they voted, and the fact that they were part of the majority last week's decision. I've been troubled for a long time by issues at the national level and the state level about gerrymandering. We've had long discussions about how terrible it is, and yet the courts are blessed allowing gerrymandering to go forward. And there's been no discussion about what the constitutional function of the legislature and the House of Representatives and the Congress actually is. That constitutional function is to give or withhold the consent of the government. And it's particularly clear in the Wisconsin Constitution, because unlike the national Constitution, our Constitution paraphrases the Declaration of Independence in the first article. Governments derive their just powers from the consent of the governed. And we have a prescription for an enacting clause in each bill, which says the people of Wisconsin represented in Senate and Assembly do enact as follows. Yet for almost 100 years, we have had Supreme Court saying that governors can use their partial veto power to make a law that the legislature never considered, let alone enacted. I've observed both of these issues for a long time. And I see a national and a statewide amnesia about why we have legislative bodies. And what does that have to do with last week's vote? The function of the village board, I would say, is to determine what the will of the people is. We don't just, we can vote in elections, but it's the function of the legislative body that's elected to determine what the will of the people is. And it was a difficult decision. And I just want to support you by underlining that when you made that decision, you were speaking for the village as a whole. And that decision represents the will of the people because it had a majority vote.
Thank you. Are there any other public comments? Gloria? I'm sorry.
You were doing, I was just gonna put that back. Oh, that's good. Fine.
Yeah,
You're in charge.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, it's all right.
Are you sure? Were you gonna talk?
Well, I had one question. I'm sorry, Jan Tamorick, 1512 Sumac Drive. And going back to comments made earlier, was John Imes the only candidate when he ran for president of the board? Because when we say he was he was duly elected, I don't remember.
Rocky.
Oh, Ron, yes. Oh, that answers my question.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Hi, I'm Gloria Beach, and that's a great question, Jan. And actually, I remember that Rocky lost by 13 votes. So it was a very close election.
Yeah.
And there was not a landslide for John Imes. And I see that there are people, my vision isn't good enough to see how many people are online. It looks like less than 20 participants online. In this room, there are 14 people. I came here not knowing what to expect. I didn't know if the room was going to be filled with angry village residents. I didn't know what to expect. Scott Nagel spoke, and your comments aren't surprising. They mirror in some content, but not tone, the email that I sent to this board. The tone of the email that I sent to the board was not matching the tone that I heard from you today. I will pick up on what Sam was saying. The members of this board were each elected at large to represent all of the village residents. And it's tricky when you have a representative democracy, because the folks on the dais are going to make decisions with which we disagree. It has to happen. We have to have that friction in democracy where not everybody agrees. So I disagreed with the outcome of last week. However, I absolutely believe each member of the board had the right to make that decision, and I can understand absolutely why you decided to move forward faster than I myself would have. The preponderance of information over the last year to 2 years, it was just there. And the board had a decision to make. Are we going to continue as we have been continuing and churning through, or are we going to just cut bait and I don't know if that's the right metaphor. Sorry if I'm mixing my metaphors, I do that. But, are we going to just say, no, enough and move forward? So the decision you made isn't the decision I would have made, but I did not win the election. I lost the election by 8 votes. And I did not win. So you all were in the position of making that decision. And I really absolutely believe that you all each did not come to that decision lightly. It was a painful moment to listen to all that information, but I think it was an important moment to listen to all the information. And Scott, that's what I've been telling you, is that we needed this meeting that was held last week to hear the information and to also give John Imes the opportunity to respond fully. And to remind everyone, John Imes could have stopped that meeting last week and everybody could have gone home and he would still be president. And he chose not to. In fact, he voted to adjourn, and his attorney, as I remember, said, "What are you doing?" And he said, oh, is that not the right answer? And he changed his mind. But that's where we are today. I am of the mind that we should move slower. I am of the mind that the filling the presidency and the trustee position doesn't have to happen today, but I'm not on the board. And the people on the board, I believe, are going to make the decision that they feel is in the best interest of this village. And that's what I have to say.
Marilyn, thank you.
Hello, I'm Marilyn Townsend, 1121 Wellesley Road. There was a question as to where the other trustees are. One of the trustees is zooming in from a long planned vacation. The other two trustees went on a long planned vacation internationally, Carol Barford and Mark Lederer. So I thought they were going to zoom in. They apparently did not. But, so that is, life goes on. And let me thank all the people who serve as trustees, because as a trustee myself for 12 years, it seemed like I would wake up one morning and I would think, oh my God, it's that time of the month again, another trustee meeting, not to mention the committee meetings. So I really appreciate those who run for office, number one, and those who serve. I have two comments. One is I noticed on the agenda, the board has before creation of 2 limited term employee positions for 20 hours a week. I support that, and I request that those 20-hour-a-week positions be advertised to village residents and filled by village residents. Until the pandemic, when we lost our 2 part-time village residents who had served us for years, we always had village residents working in the village hall. It was very community-oriented, and our previous administrator, in a way I did not approve of, pushed them out. I think it's about time we brought the village back to the village. Secondly, I heard some comments tonight that the vote to remove the previous president was 4-3. It wasn't more than that. The key thing to remember is that the legislature provided this statute to help communities midway through a president's term or an officer's term, to give them a way to remove them when they've lost the confidence of the board. Now, the legislature said in that statute it's a majority vote. Sometimes the legislature says you need a supermajority. So, for example, when I was on the board and I wanted a charter ordinance enacted, that took a supermajority. That took 6 votes. This does not. The legislature has spoken, and I watched it last week. I thought it was a very painful proceeding. I did not think the trustees had made up their mind. And also, as was previously pointed out, President Imes had the opportunity to stop it. His gut reaction was to stop it and remain as president. Instead, on advice of council, he switched his vote. Lastly, I've heard some folks talk about the procedure this village has followed in filling vacancies. I would respectfully say we have no procedure in filling vacancies. It's up to the board to decide. For example, I was appointed as a trustee, and it created some anger in the board because The president appointed me to fill a vacancy. Someone had moved out of the village. And instead, those who had run in the last election felt he should have appointed one of them. He said, no, I'm appointing you. And some people voted against my appointment, saying nothing against you, Marilyn. I just don't like the way this occurred. Fine. Then I went on in the next election to win and serve for 12 years. So, I think it's important to make decisions as to who the president is. The president would serve the remainder of the term. If a president was approved tonight, that president would have to circulate nomination papers in simply a few months. In December, an election would be held in April. So, as Sam Braithwaite pointed out, I have been at most of our meetings in the last 18 months. And we have had folks, they've been very intense, especially August, September, October, when folks from all over the village, from Lake Mendota Drive to Oxford to Tally Ho to Wellesley, were here saying to the president, you're not listening to us. And it was unprecedented that the entire board, even as of last week, all 6 of them were unanimous that he should resign. But 2 of them thought they wouldn't vote for it. That didn't mean they had confidence in his leadership. So I think it's time to move on. And I appreciate the position the trustees are in.
Thank you. Are there any other public comments? I'm looking online. Are there any hands up online? Okay. Seeing none, we will proceed. Item number 7, appointments. Brian, you requested this item to be added to the agenda. You're welcome to speak to it.
Well, this is good because it's immediately out of public comment that directly relates to the very next item, to term appointments. So I'm going to give a little bit of explaining of my reasoning as to why I put these agenda items on here, and hopefully that puts some minds at ease. I think it should. So first, I think that there's a lot of pressing business here that needs to get done with our budgets, with everything else that needs to get resolved quickly, and decisions that need to get made, buildings that need to be chosen, projects that need to be done, committees that need to get started, review boards that need to get staffed. It seemed to me that rather than lingering over what just happened, that moving on was the right thing to do. And getting appointments going was the best way to do that. So 1, it's done. It's time to move. That's my first thought. That was the first thought that went through it. In fact, I initially thought that the time to do it might be immediately after the meeting last time. Then it was told that we couldn't mix the 2 by legal. So that's the first. The second thing is, well, I mean, those of you may, not everybody may know, and Taylor, I hate to steal your news, but we're not going to be able to retain Taylor. We tried. Personnel tried. And we're going to be without a clerk. So while I welcome all of the calls for election, and if things were different in this village, in the slightest, I would agree with that statement. But we just don't have the staff to do all the things we need to do and also be putting on elections, considering the fact that we just had one and there are some candidates there. So the original thought that went to me, that went through my head when I put this together, right, was that if John were to have been removed, which has happened, we would select a new president from the body. After selecting a new president from the body, we would then select a trustee to fill that seat. And the logic behind that, and Michael referenced the email that I'd sent to Craig and to Gloria and to Kate, was to say, we have three people. It's not, you know, we have an embarrassment of riches here, right? We have a lot of talented people that have already stood up to volunteer to work and help the village. And we all just went through an election cycle with those folks. These are folks that work on committees here that we all know really well. Everybody in this room knows these folks. It's not like we're not going to learn a bunch for an appointment's sake in a short period of time. So that's the last. Then additionally, I'll point out one of the points that was brought up is just leaving the seat unfilled hadn't occurred to me, but as we just saw just last week, right, that 7th vote matters sometimes. And I don't see, with only 10 months really until where it comes up, why going any slower does this village any good. It seems like we have talent that's ready to fill the seats, and we have decisions and actions that need to be made. So with that being said, I would like to start by opening the floor to nominations for president. From inside of the body so that we can do that. Does anybody have anybody that they would like to call forward?
Well, before we do that, I could just say one thing,
Yeah.
please. So I was on for a number of years in the late 90s. In fact, I'm the one that voted against Maryland. You want to know? Because when I got on the board, I got rid of the lame duck meetings. I got rid of all kinds of rules. We put in ethic rules, and I was trying to put in that we just couldn't pick it, because what was happening back then is the president would pick people and they're stacking the board and stacking the committees, similar to what has happened the last several years. And so I tried to get it actually put in the rules that it had to be someone who ran for the election. I failed to do that. And then when Maryland came up, I voted against it out of protest, saying, no, we should do it. But the fact is I bet if you really made an honest comparison in this village for as many years I've been here, you could probably count on these two fingers, the ones that came from the election. And they've all appointed people. So to me, it's more about getting ahead. I'm not even in the finances, and the finance are a freaking mess. Anybody who doesn't know that is not paying attention. I'm just looking at the buildings. And I'm telling you, I've got about 80, maybe 90 hours in these buildings just in the last 5 days. There is no way we can linger up here waiting for a president or a trustee. We have an election a year from now. I would say if we march ahead and we just screw everything up, put in all new people and we'll start over. I don't think it's going to happen. I just think we should fill these seats and get moving, because there's just so much to do. And we only have so many hours to put in. And keeping it open is not going to make it better.
Sorry, I didn't mean to not include discussion. Kate, I just moved directly at it. I'm still getting used to sitting up here and talking and then moving to what I'm supposed to do with motions and stuff. Sorry.
Kate, you have your hand up.
Yeah. Cool. Thank you, guys. Sorry, I'm on Zoom again. I look forward to seeing everyone soon. I do agree with some of what's been said tonight. I have some differing opinions as we will work through the agenda here, but I do believe that we need to formalize a new president for the village. I think that we desperately need new leadership, as I've been saying for 6 to 9 months. And I would love to nominate Trustee Lotfy for that role. And I'm happy to explain my rationale if there's a second for that.
I'll second.
Awesome. Yeah, I think that, even in the last month, I think I've observed personally very, very careful attention to detail and spending the time. I know even in the last 72 hours, she's been spending a lot of time in Village Hall, prepping this packet, making sure that the most priority items are on the agenda. And so that we are actually spending our time both at the board level and at the staff level on critical agenda items. So, Brian, I do agree with you that we have a lot to get done right now. We have committees that desperately need appointments that can still only come when we have a president. A president has to put forward a slate. And I know desperately, different committees want to get back into action, and specifically the ZBA has too many vacancies and wouldn't be able to get to a quorum right now. So it's for those reasons that for the presidential role, I do think we should appoint tonight and move forward. And like Rocky has mentioned as well, in just less than a year, if the village is not pleased with that kind of leadership, there will be an election to make those voices and that opinion heard. So it's for those reasons that I would like to put her forward tonight.
Are we discussing things right now?
Yep.
So just why I would second it, and this is gonna sound a little funny, but for years, I always wondered why Shopnow appeared to be kind of an airhead to me. And I couldn't figure out why. I've talked to her about it. Now, I'm not a lawyer, I don't understand that side, and it wasn't until my first meeting up here, when I knew everything she knew. And she tried to bring up some ordinance changes and had her knees just taken right up underneath her. And then what she did is, rather than fight about it, which is what I would have done, rather than getting mad, she went through all the ordinances, trying to figure out ordinances, things that I hadn't even thought about. So sitting out there, for me, it looked like she didn't know what the hell was going on. Sitting up here, when I knew what was happening, I knew exactly what happened. And then all of a sudden it occurred to me, that's what I've been seeing for the last couple of years. Because in all my interactions with her elsewise, she's one of the sharpest people I've met, among a few of the other women that are in this board. And that's why I would nominate her. I think she's been here a long time. She hit the ground running. And what we need in that position, for instance, I ran for president a year ago, and I think I would have done a better job, but I would have sucked in overall, because I didn't have the administration skills that someone like this lady has. And probably what would have happened if I was there is I would have delegated out to the people who could do it, because I don't really have that much pride in myself, realizing I was in over my head. In this case, we've got the real thing here. Anybody who just watched what happened the last week with this agenda and the decisions she's making that probably got us all a little angry would understand that she's really marching ahead very quickly. And trust me when I say we've got some major financial hurdles in front of us. And it's going to take a very clear thinker to get us through this stuff. Well, having tax increases and things of that nature. That's why I seconded Shopnow with Hope Young. And I think she'd do a great job.
I nominated her for pro tem, so I'm happy to vote for you too. I think it'd be, man, I think we'd get to this four regardless of whether Mark or Carol were here. I think that regardless of whether Mark or Carol were here, we would definitely have four for sure. Because I nominated you for pro tem. I think you'll do a great job. I'm more than happy to do it. I think we should just call the vote.
Okay, we can call the vote. I would accept the nomination. I am honored. I appreciate the trust. I think to do this job well, you have to have discipline, to have control and restraint over yourself. And I think that you have to love people to bring everybody together. I did say to Brian Mooney on Friday that just having been president pro tem for a week, it took over my day job, but then it took over the weekend. So there's a lens that is like, okay, I see where we gotta fix things, and it would be my honor to facilitate that process, because it truly will take all of us. We're in a bad spot. I think we have to acknowledge that. There's been comments made, budget crisis, buildings deteriorating, a lot of infighting and criticism and finger pointing. But I don't worry. I do not worry for the village. Because regardless of who's writing what email and what comment they're making, and whether I agree with that comment or I disagree with the content of it, what I feel and understand is those comments are made with love. They're made with care and passion, and that every resident here, when they repeatedly say they've lived here for 40 years or 50 years or 60 years, they're saying that because of the pride that they feel in being a part of this community. So I do not doubt for a second that while we're at rock bottom, that we cannot climb out of this. I think that, my optimism is not blind. I do look around the world for agreement or disagreement with my thoughts. And the best example I think of is Apple in 1997 was going bankrupt. 3 months away, $1 billion lost, products being pulled from the shelves, and an obituary being written by the news. And they get still, you simplify to amplify, and put the egos aside and see the good in everyone. And I think we have the ability to do that. I think there's a lot of work, and everybody's got to help. Every single person, whether we agree or disagree, has to be a part of that process. And I wish for the committees to be made up of people who disagree, because that's my training, is that's how you're going to get good decisions, not by stacking everybody with one view or the other, because we have to get out of this, my win is your loss. You have to give something to get something, and politics doesn't have to be that way. There's pie for everybody. There's money for the admin team. There's money for DPW. We can help the police. We can get the pool building. It's not a zero-sum game. I will call the votes.
Just to nitpick, the nominations have been made, but no motion for appointment.
I think we're just doing this one step at a time, aren't we?
So it's one motion. I'm sorry, maybe I
So
misunderstood.
he made a nomination. She didn't make a motion, is what he's saying.
Did you want to?
I can make the motion. Yeah. So I make a motion to appoint. Oh.
You misunderstood.
So do I make a motion? I'd like to make a motion to appoint Trustee Lotfy to serve out the remaining term of village president.
Second that.
Third that.
Yeah.
I'll call the vote. All in favor, say aye.
Uh,
The motion carries.
So
Mr.
that's
Ritchie?
just the next.
Yes.
Yes.
Please proceed.
So, as far as somebody new being selected, by the way, which is a comment from the thing, that was something that never occurred to me. I admittedly have no idea what I'm doing up here yet, and would not have ever thought to put myself in that position. But I am pleased how that turned out. So, knowing that someone was going to wind up in that role, and being that, again, I didn't see any reason to belabor things. There were multiple candidates that still stood from the last election cycle, who I sent emails to. Kate, Gloria, and Craig were still here. Two of whom have indicated that they are interested in serving as trustee. And while I understand, since, as people have sent me emails, that there has been a process by which this has been done that I didn't know about, because this is the first one of these I've ever witnessed. There isn't anything actually in the code that says how this needs to work. So the thought that occurred to me was we would have Kate and Craig read a statement, and then just staff a trustee and be done, and have a full board and move on, whatever the board decides. I see no reason to put the staff through an election. I see no reason to put all of our limited energy and effort and thinking and critical thinking skills through devising who might sit where and how that might go through another vote with a ranked choice vote or the rest of that, especially if you're watching a ranked choice, which is questionable. Seems to turn out different, however looks at it. I think that's the mystery. At this point, I would like to invite, either Kate or Craig, or would like to go first to just read a statement, and then, from that, move to staff a trustee seat. Discussion?
Before we ask anyone to come up, can the board weigh in on this process?
I don't think there is a process, as Marilyn said, in all my time here. I think Dave and John tried to invent a process, but at the end of the process, they picked the one they picked in the beginning. I think it was a show trial. I think the process changes to whatever it is. In this case, we have a ton of stuff to do. We don't have time to run an election. I'm sorry. And, I mean, there's only so many hours I can put in, and just to get this buildings figured out, I guarantee you, the last week was probably a piker. It's gonna be more than that. I can't imagine when you guys actually tear into finances. I just don't think, there just isn't time. We gotta get this thing fully staffed so we can move the budget. We're gonna start working that, what, in 2 months? Right? And we just gotta go. There's no reason not to.
Kate? Go ahead.
Yeah. So I do feel slightly differently about the trustee position because I think that my preference here would be to follow at least what we have done over the last 5 years that I've been, living in the village, which is there is a public notice posted, sent via Nixle website, with a deadline to apply if anyone is interested to serve as a trustee, and you literally fill out, I think it's a 2-page, document. I went through this 3 years ago or whatever. It was not very difficult to manage or for me to do as a potential appointee. And then you go before the board and you make a statement. And then the board did do a lighter version of a ranked choice voting in real time with a spreadsheet. And in this instance, I do think, and I know some residents spoke to this tonight, I personally think that we can wait 30 days to appoint the next trustee to serve. I understand there was just an election. I also understand, I think that the top vote getter in that election is not interested in serving in this role. So in my opinion, I think opening it up for 1 month to just see what interest is in the village. We do have so much talent that waiting for me, that trade-off is worth it to wait a little bit longer, open it up. I also, with Mark and Carol being gone from this meeting, I do think that would be more inclusive to capture their, point of view and votes as well. So my preference would be to post that now that we didn't have an opening on the board in terms of a trustee role until about 3 minutes ago. So my preference would be that this week, as soon as we can, we get that message out to the village, solicit applications, and then in the June meeting, appoint our next trustee.
I don't, I guess I said that. I don't agree. I think it's just time. We have, both these people are very good. Kate is probably one of the top financial people in Dane County. We are a sinking ship. Who are we gonna find better than like her or the other person? If we wait a month, if we wait a year, if we wait 5 days.
So I hear that point. I see 2 things that I'll just put out for consideration. First is, when Rocky and I and Gloria were just running, the top 3 was kind of a thing that people were saying, just pick the 3 of us, right? That was the message that went, so that the 3 of us kind of spread. If Gloria were one of those choices that we were gonna, because of the fact that she got the most votes, that would look Democratic. But I can see how folks that didn't support Rocky and it might feel like that was a slanted choice. But the choices that are before us aren't those. The choices that are before us are Craig and Kate. And I feel like if we were to go out to the village, that we're not gonna get a better representative cross-section of what the village's overall demeanor and feeling is. And I think that we would still be really well represented as a village body, including everyone's opinions and thoughts, by choosing one of those two. If it was a one-sided thing, or if it could be even spun in a way where it was a one-sided thing, I think that would be the case. But I think that both of the candidates that are before us are ones that people that didn't support me voted for. And I think it's hard to argue that that's a slanted choice by us or something that's bypassing democracy. It feels like putting us all through more rigmarole effort, and the rest of those steps just doesn't feel necessary to me, Kate, in that regard. I respect that opinion, and I can see it, and I hear it from, Michael and others that also whose opinions I respect. Gloria, for sure. But I would move to fill one of those seats, considering that to be true. If it was Gloria, I actually would say differently because of the fact that I'm worried about what the optics would look like. But with Kate and Craig, I just don't think the optics can be spun that way. I don't know. What are your guys' thoughts? Shana, what do you think?
I hear both sides. Giving the residents more time, 30 days, feels slower. And I think residents would appreciate that right now. So I hear it. At the same time, the three ran very recently, got hundreds of votes, are well respected in the community, intelligent, smart, great people. I've had phenomenal conversations with Craig while we've been on Plan Commission together. I've worked well with Gloria. I've recently gotten to know Kate. I don't think you can make a wrong choice. So I can go either way.
They're here and we're here. I would proceed.
I proceed.
What?
We have to make a motion or something, or we just hear what they have to say?
Well, I guess I don't know the answer to that question. What do we have to do? Kate, would you, how strenuously do you object, Kate? Would you object to proceeding with filling the body considering that counterpoint, or would you not?
I just, I think that this is not about appearing one-sided. This is about trying to, open back up some of the decision-making at the board level and make sure that we're letting anyone who is interested in serving in this trustee role, that they are given that chance. And so I would assume that, Kate and Craig in 30 days would still be interested. I could be wrong on that. And maybe this is just delaying it a month, but I guess for me, that trade-off is worth it to see, are there any other people who want to throw their hat in the ring and for us to consider as a board? I think we owe that to the board, to the village. I do not think it's a long drawn out process. It's only 30 days. I don't think there's that long of a vacancy on the board. And I do think that it's important for some of our first actions here in this new board that we are incorporating resident feedback and that we are showing that we are hearing the residents and that these are not just heavy-handed decision-making moments that 7 people are doing or 6 people are doing on behalf of the village. So I really feel strongly that I think we need to open this up because, Kate did get hundreds of votes, but she, wasn't technically running for office. So, someone else in the village who wasn't really running would say, well, why couldn't I have had the opportunity to, showcase my talents and work on behalf of the village? I think it is, for me, the rush here is not, I'm willing to take that risk here. I think it's okay that we wait 1 month to appoint a trustee. I'm not talking 6 months. I'm not talking a special election. I also agree we won't have a clerk soon. It's also just filling out Shabnam's term, which is now less than a year. So it is, a shortened term in that way as well. So I don't know, unless you guys can convince me. That's kind of where I'm at.
All right, we don't have to be unanimous, so we have to move along.
So one last question. Idealism versus, from a pragmatic standpoint, there are 2 candidates that are here are really strong. Like both of them would serve fantastically. I don't know what the need to belabor that is, but I do understand your point. So I don't know what the procedure is when there are three of us that
Okay.
would like to proceed in. Or
I guess I'm sensing a little bit that you guys want to proceed. Kate's is wanting to wait in in the rationales. And I am trying to find a win-win, which is hard, but I like to. I'm wondering if we could proceed. There's going to be 20, 30 brand new committee members coming today. There's still vacancies we have to fill. And my intention is that the majority of the work is going to be done by committee members and to empower them. So in my hope to find a win-win, if it's possible, select a candidate, because it's the real work is going to be in the committees, and that's where you really want to care. And I just want to get everybody going and more people on and more people assigned to get more work done, because there's a lot of work we got to do.
We need a motion to proceed, because I'll make it.
Well, I don't know if we need a,
I don't think so.
That's one thing I don't know what the.
I think we just proceed.
well, you would need to hear from the two
I was
candidates.
just gonna say,
Yeah,
speak.
that's what I meant.
And maybe, well, let's see what happens. Let's have the two candidates. Would anybody like to go first?
Great, thank you. Oh, wow, that is loud.
It is loud.
I'll hold it out here. And thank you for the thoughtful conversation. I think the community appreciates how much thought you're putting into how to proceed after the eventful week last week. My name is Kate Crowley. I think I know most of the board, but not everybody in the room. So I'll give a little bit of introduction to myself and then explain why I would accept an appointment to the board, should that happen tonight. I've been a resident of the village for 10 years, a little over 10 years. I live on Viburnum Drive. My husband Andy and I have a teenage daughter that we raised here since she was 3 or 4 years old. And it's been, so many of us know how magical this is of a place to raise a family. And we've benefited from it, our daughters benefit from it. And as she's grown, I found more time and have dedicated some of that to the village, joining the village finance committee last year. And then this spring, putting in the candidacy paperwork to run for trustee. Shortly after putting in my paperwork this past winter, my father became pretty ill, and he's doing well now. He had surgery, a shorewood surgeon actually, in March, and he's recovered very well because of the shorewood talent in the OR. And with that, and with bringing on some staff in my business, I am back to having the time and energy to commit to the trustee role that I didn't at the time that I had withdrawn from the election. So I mentioned my business. I have a business now with 3 or 4 others. We are consultants to local governments. I advise local governments largely in Wisconsin, but a little bit around the country on financial and strategic matters. Specifically, community development finances is my area of expertise. I started that business about 2 years ago, and prior to that had been a partner at Baker Tilly for 15 years, which is the CPA firm that does the village's audit. I am registered as a municipal advisor with the Securities and Exchange Commission. And with that, I believe have brought some valuable insight to the Finance Committee over the last year as we've been working on capital improvement planning, budgeting, and some tip strategies that we're going to talk about tonight. If appointed to the board, I would want to further that work in finance, but help advise as to how policy drives some of the outcomes that we're seeking financially in terms of revenue enhancement, as well as efficiency measures that could reduce costs or reduce the workload on staff. I know we all share that concern about workload on staff. At Baker Tilly, as I mentioned, I was a partner. I led a team of hundreds of consultants around the country. And I know from that leadership isn't about technical skills. It's not about spreadsheets and finance. It's about trust. This community is in a crisis of trust. And I believe this board is doing the right steps to bring us out of that. And as a member of it, should I be appointed, I would like to contribute to rebuilding this trust with the experience that I've gained in my days. So thank you for your consideration and look forward to the rest of the meeting.
My name is Craig Weinhold, also a village resident for quite a long time. I have 2 children that have been raised here. Served on Plan Commission for 3 years now. I am flattered by some of the comments. Thank you. It sounds like people know me. I don't have to maybe talk about my background, but I do need to say that I do not have a financial background. Aside from doing my own taxes, Kate has that in spades. So in terms of goals, in this last election, I probably shouldn't say who I voted for, but she was one of them. I asked the village board to follow Kate Holstick's recommendation and delay this by 1 month. Last week was a seismic meeting here. And I don't know what that's going to awaken in the village. And I think no matter how qualified we are or able to serve or willing to serve, and we will be again in 30 days, but I really think the optics are poor if there's an immediate rush to replace that seat without at least a mixel or without at least a solicitation of who else is interested in there. That's my personal belief. I think last week was unprecedented, and it's going to take a while to really get a full picture of what that means for the village, both in terms of current board membership, but also in terms of long-term legal ramifications. I think I'll close it there. I am willing to serve. A little bit reluctant, I will say that. I have a full-time side gig as a traffic safety person. That's kind of my where I spend my time, and taking away time to work on the village. I love this village. I want to help it. When Marilyn talks about hiring from inside, I'm thinking, well, maybe I'll quit my job and get an LTE position with the village just to help things recover. I do want to do my part and help with this recovery. But I urge you to skip this appointment tonight and at least for 1 month, put the call out and see what happens. I'll be here next month too.
So, something funny, when you guys are talking about people up here, remember I said, there's someone else I think we should look at, this lady that lives next to Sam. I didn't know who she was. And so I was pleasantly surprised when I found out that was Kate Crowley. And I just found that out a couple weeks ago. And I obviously didn't know. But I would like to nominate trustee. I don't think we can wait. I think finances are the #1 problem in front of us. And if we wait another month, it's another month that I'm gonna have to get pulled into finances and I can't go after these buildings and other stuff. And I couldn't even touch what that person could do in finance, not even close. I mean, I'm shocked to sit on a board with 3 women that I think are probably the 3 smartest women I've worked around if she was put up here since I've been in the village. So with that, I nominate Kate Crowley to fill the trustee position. make a motion to nominate Kate Crowley.
I'm gonna second that nomination, and I'm gonna explain why, because I am moved by the calls for democracy here. Enough that I question my own wisdom in proceeding rapidly. However, this isn't gonna result in an election. What's gonna result from this is going to be still just a board appointment. And I believe it'd be extremely difficult for the board to find somebody more qualified and more generally better regarded than Kate Crowley, who also was supported by folks that didn't support me inside of this as a kind of a healing balm, if you will, after the divisiveness of the time with removing John. So I genuinely believe that it's extremely unlikely that we would find a more qualified candidate, even if we opened this process up and dragged out longer. And if we did, I don't think we would come to a different result. I think that we are very lucky to have that willingness to serve. So I'll second that motion.
Discussion.
Said my piece.
Okay, I guess I'll go next. I genuinely, fully, wholeheartedly, with every fiber in my body, believe that there is space in our community for everybody. I'm leaning towards, I'm gonna support Kate. I understand that people are worried about optics. I've never cared about optics. I've cared about getting results. Maybe that's my weakness, is I don't really think that way. And I think what matters most is if Kate has the time and the energy to join this board to fill the remaining part of this term. But Craig has heart and soul and abilities and talent that he wants to contribute. Maybe not in a full-time basis, but in other capacities. I want that. If Craig would, I would love to work with Craig on Plan Commission. There's also some more vacancies. My sense is we're doing a shift, a very quick shift to go back to empowering the committees. And so I'm leaning for Kate because take the spot, sit, let's get moving. Craig, I got a spot for you. Gloria, you're not on this board, but there's 5 spots available. Like there's plenty of work for you. Anybody who's not on this board, I have plenty of work for everybody. So I think I'm leaning in that direction because there's so much work to be done and we gotta go. We gotta move.
We call the vote.
And I can't
just-
think of it now. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Before we vote, can I just say one final thing? I don't want to stand in the way of speed. And so if the consensus tonight is to appoint Kate, I also agree there is probably the needs of the village match almost like amazingly with her background. So I have this was never about anyone in particular. For me, it was just about a process declaration for this board. And I just want us to be very careful as we move through the next few months. We have to balance speed with resident input because we will end up, going in circles if we do not. And so I understand the need to move quickly. I will support Kate tonight under one condition. I would like to be called First Kate and she can be called Second Kate. No, I'm just kidding. But we will have to we will have to figure out some way to designate the 2 Kates. But anyways, so you have my support tonight.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead.
Sorry to make this distinction again, but appointments having been made, or excuse me, nominations having been made, if the desire is to appoint, the motion should reflect appoint. Are we okay with me altering that
So, what, isn't that what I said? Did I say motion?
I think you might have said nominate.
Yeah.
But then okay, I motion that we appoint, the now Kate Crowley, who I have to put the face to the name, to, fill the vacant trustee spot.
Seconded. Aye.
Okay, call the vote. All in favor, say aye or raise your hand. That motion carries.
Okay.
Suggestion. I saw pro tem wasn't on here. Does that be in here? Can we take care of that too tonight? Or is that, that is
Not on there.
agenda?
No.
I didn't know how official.
I know.
Position is.
It wasn't on the agenda.
It's not
I
critical.
know.
It's fine. I was just.
We're in, yeah.
Let's do that. I can do it for next.
Is Kate able to join the rest of the meeting?
It's not on the agenda.
Right.
Yeah, no, that's not, we're not
So,
gonna.
but swearing Kate in is not on the agenda, so because it's not there, she can't take the seat tonight.
Okay.
In previous times, it's had to be an agenda item. So, I'm not clerk though, so you should.
Taylor, do you have any thoughts on this?
What? Every board meeting I've been, they vote, they swear them in, and we move on.
It was noticed though.
I'm gonna just ask the experienced Taylor Wall to help.
As I have seen previous agendas, the oath of office must be taken and noticed prior to voting on it.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, but the question was, could it be inserted was the question, but I got you.
It could not be inserted.
So you're saying Kate could not join tonight, directly here?
That's
Okay,
right.
okay, thank you. All right.
There you go. Moving on.
Okay, committee chairs and committee members. So if it's okay, Brian, for me to make a couple comments.
Which Brian are we talking?
Brian, because
Okay.
this is your agenda item, but I just have.
Sorry, yeah, no, it
thoughts.
is mine. Yeah, no.
Is that all right?
I just put it on there because it needed to get done.
Okay. So
This is the president's role.
let me just say a couple comments so that everybody has the background. 2 or 3 months ago, the board implemented and agreed to do ranked choice voting. Carol Barford used a platform or an algorithm and we all agreed that we were going to use that algorithm. Each trustee submitted their choices based on the applications that had been submitted. So what you see before you is a reflection of 6 trustees' opinion and preference for who should be on each committee. This list does not reflect my preference or any individual trustee. It is the board's preference. And I would also add that I double checked some of these algorithms with some other AI tools. And no matter what kind of a ranked choice voting used, 90% of the outcomes were the same. And that gave me a lot of comfort knowing that this is, regardless of your algorithm, that the outcomes was going to be the same. David DeVito is named on many committees. And I spoke with David and he's online and he had informed me that he would stay on ZBA and public health and safety. That means that there will be a vacancy on the finance committee. There will be a vacancy on the plan commission. There'll be a vacancy on the pool committee. There is a vacancy on the public health and safety committee, not because of David DeVito, but because Rob Stanky is not on that committee. I'm going to take a minute and call on Gloria.
Just real quickly, because Kate Crowley has been appointed to the board, once she's sworn in, there's possibly going to be a problem at finance with 2 trustees.
Okay, thank you. Got it. Thanks. What else? I heard from our wonderful clerk that Kelda Royce will not serve on the Recreation Committee, which leaves another vacancy there. there is, okay. I also have a belief that there is not belief, I did research on this. So in Wisconsin, we have a doctrine of incompatibility. And if anybody wants to learn more about it, you could research or read Ochadovec versus City of Green Bay. And that outlines a series of cases where whether something is legal, even if the statutes are silent, it's just not appropriate. So for example, a teacher serving on a school board you shouldn't have that. And the reason I bring this up is because I firmly, strongly believe, based on data, that an individual who's on the Board of Zoning Appeals should not be on the Plan Commission. The job of the Plan Commission is to set zoning code and the job of the ZBA is to grant variances to that. It's like a judge who's writing the laws. It's inappropriate. So I would ask, and I did call Kara Coburn Ferris to share my thoughts with her. And she also is an attorney who said she would be happy to come off the ZBA, which would leave another vacancy there as well. I also believe that no trustee should be on the ZBA, as there should be no trustee on the Board of Review. I've looked into statutes, and the statutes say that the ZBA should be made up of residents. It's silent on trustees, but if you look at the case law, it's inappropriate. So I think that Peter Hans would be a good choice to chair that committee, because 5 of the 6 trustees named him, he ranked him #1 for their choice to be on the ZBA. So that's a lot of confidence that he would be a good, everybody wants this guy on the ZBA. Well, it sounds right that he would chair it. Does anybody have any thoughts on what I've said so far?
Oh, not so far.
There's 2 other things. One is I didn't see anything well, I'm not going to say that. I inserted Dan Rogi's name for waterfront, but I
was
am
told by
confused.
John that he's up for election. He's a non-resident.
Right. And so there, I'm just a little bit concerned with process. What do we do with non-residents? Because that's a non-residency.
Okay.
And the same thing goes for pool committee. Jesse Wickizer is a non-resident. I can't put a resident in a non-resident seat.
I believe Dan Roby also said in his application, there isn't an opening on the meeting. He also is probably a best volunteer. He's done more work for the village than he does, so it's hard to run the ring without. I believe that Taylor told me to put in his application, and I don't know if it isn't there, but I think it's there.
Okay, so let's keep Dan as a non-resident on the waterfront committee. But I think the pool committee would have to figure out how you guys want to manage non-residents. I don't know if we're supposed to vote them or not. I feel uncomfortable filling a non-resident seat.
I would.
Is that all right? Any other comments or thoughts?
So personnel, when I look at this, Sam is #2, not Mary. Did I miss something? When I go through the numbers in here, it's clear that she's #2 in your ranked choice voting. But you have Mary Galvartson as #2, your ranked choice voting.
So when Carol put in the trustees' choices into her algorithm, it popped out Mary and Maryland. And when I did it in another method, it still popped out Mary and Maryland.
But how, when you go through the numbers that you set in our packet, Sam comes up #2.
She might have been #2 for 1 or 2 trustees, but there were other trustees who did.
I can go right down your list. It's on your computer too. You can see she's #2. Look at it all.
Right, but she's #2 for some trustees' choices. And when you use the algorithm,
It really
Sam
ranks
is in
that.
third.
Okay, so that means, should we just, why don't we put AI then on the personnel committee? I have eyes, all right? There's a hell of a lot more votes there for Sam than Mary.
So
I don't know what your algorithm's doing, but I can see it.
Rocky, so just bear with me. I'm looking at the same thing you are because I wanted to look at it. So under first choice, Mary's trustee 5, right? And then she's trustee 4 and 6. And you're right, trustee 1, 2, and 3 say Sam. So then you go to so that would be a slight tilt towards Mary, right? Then you go to the third choice and it says Mary, and Sam is not in those. There is no choice in the third, and she's not in the rest of it. You go to fourth, and again, we see then we see 2 Sams, but 1 Mary, and we can't see the fourth and the fifth and the sixth choices if there were more choices. But I can see why that's not AI. That would be waiting.
Kate,
Okay, so let me lower my hand. Okay, let me just back up big picture here. Number one, when Carol and I worked on this a couple months ago, we see that this is not a perfect process. We wanted to start the pilot somewhere and then make improvements as time goes on. I think a few things that I would just observe here. Number one, the way, ranked choice voting, we need to figure out a way to simplify that, I think, so that residents can understand what we're trying to do here is have more of have the cream rise to the top, so to speak, across all, 7 trustees. As a body, who do we generally support to fill vacant positions? And so the thought was, if we all rank different people based on the same fact set, which would be their application, anything else, that was part of their application, if they had a letter of recommendation or whatever, that would be collected at, centrally at Village Hall, we would all be making informed decisions on different people to fill these seats. Okay. I think what has become clear is the math is complicated, and ranked choice voting, depending on what kind of, program or, code that you're using, it can, tiebreakers are decided differently, for example. So you can get slightly different results depending on how you actually, set it up. Number two, you have to also tell the program that Carol and I used how many open seats there are at the beginning, so that when it spits out the final results, it knows what it's doing. And so as seats are opening up, that shifts things overall. And so I had a couple questions, Shabnam, for you. So just to also rewind here, 2 months ago, well, God, it feels like 2 months, I guess it was 6 weeks ago, once the new trustees were elected, so that's Brian and Rocky, that week, everyone was sent a packet and everyone was asked on a physical sheet to rank things. This also included John's rankings at the time, obviously. Fast forward now, I wanted to confirm with you, Shabnam, when the slate that's being presented today in today's packet, have we taken out John's rankings? And I believe I was told, Rocky, you did submit, because I think in the initial slate that we had in the April packet, Rocky's rankings were not in there. So have we removed?
I have the initial ones because we had no time to interview them. I wanted to slow the process down. You guys all know that.
Yeah, so I just want to confirm.
But they are in there now. I did it 2 days ago.
So we have essentially removed John's numbers and added in Rocky. Is that correct?
That's correct.
that's correct.
Okay. And because I went back and I looked at the initial, and I'm talking about the slate that came out of the ranked choice voting, not John's slate in the April packet. Okay. There were actually 2 slates in that April packet. I am only talking about the one that included just the math that Carol and I ran. And so, Shabnam, my second question is, was Carol able to run the same program, removing John's ranking and adding in Rocky with the same way that we did it in April?
Carol did an outstanding job over the weekend in Europe rerunning the numbers to confirm that everything is accurate and that there's no mistakes. I applaud her, I commend her. She did extraordinary to get us the list before us.
On our vacation, yeah.
All right.
Okay. And then what happened with Pool? Because originally Afghan and Smoglik were noted, and then now DeVito popped up. It sounds like he doesn't want to serve.
When Carol redid the numbers in the algorithm, there were like a couple shifts here and there, not much, but that might have been one that shifted. She did email, and I believe it's in the packet, the whole algorithm with the results.
Okay.
So
I was just looking at, it's in there.
Yeah, I saw that.
It will take the place of Mr. DeVito.
well, that's the thing.
Okay.
That's a good question.
Yeah,
That's a great question.
is that how that works? Sure.
Well, let's do what we can tonight. You can get those because she gets a few more.
So
You can catch. Okay, look, I don't like this, but I don't get to win all the time, so I'll go with it, all right? But I feel like I'm cranking a jack in the box. It's, you know what I mean? But, so if it helps to get forward, I'll stop complaining about the process. Let's just get this, what you have done here,
sure.
and then the rest next time.
It's not the cleanest, but given the number of people and so many moving parts, I think we need to abide by what the board previously abided by, which is we're going to follow the process that Kate and Carol were working through. I would feel uncomfortable overstepping that or sidestepping it.
Right.
So
Okay.
I actually wrote a motion. The motion was, I would like to make a motion to appoint the committee members. I didn't say anything about chairs. The committee members as presented, with the exception of removing David DeVito from Finance, Plan Commission, and Pool Committee, and to appoint Peter Hans as chair of ZBA.
You also need to remove Rob Stanky from.
Don't worry about that.
Okay.
So that's the motion.
What are we not worrying about?
Well, there is a vacancy because Rob Stanky is actually supposed to not be on this list. But that I was going to get to my next point, which is, if possible, within the next 10-30 days, Brian, if you could help, we would have we still have a vacancy on finance. We have a vacancy on the plan commission. We have a vacancy on the pool committee. We have a vacancy on public health and safety. There are 2 vacancies on ZBA. Blackhawk has a vacancy. It's not listed. Board of Review needs 2 needs positions filled, along with Joint Campus, Admin Appeals Board, Joint Review Board, and Village Recognition. So I think that there's a whole slate of seats that need to get filled.
That's fine. So you'll be addressing.
I ask that we proceed with what we have, but we've got to do another reach out to the community to fill the remaining seats.
Okay.
Could you read the motion back?
Okay. I would like to make a motion to appoint the committee members as presented, with the exception of removing David DeVito from Finance, Plan Commission, and Pool Committee, and to appoint Peter Hans as chair of the ZBA.
I'll second that.
All in favor, raise your hand here, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, that passes. Congratulations to this wonderful group of amazing residents who we look forward to what you guys are going to accomplish.
There is then Board of Review is on Thursday, and absent any appointments tonight, If some emergency happens, it is very likely we will not have quorum. We have 4 who are able to make it on Thursday. Show
Just
one
one.
absence.
Okay. So. I'm sorry, there's also one vacancy on recreation. I'll email you guys the list. Board of Review.
Board of Review did not get in the packet. I
Yeah.
emailed the trustees separately. Christoph Ubele and Peter Hans were the only ones to apply for that. If both of them are appointed, one is a regular seat, 2 are alternates that are vacant. If both are appointed, there'd still be 1 vacancy somewhere. So we'd have to revisit any of them.
No. So if we were to if we were to put those 2 on, you still have 1 more vacancy, but then they'd have a quorum. What are we saying?
Michael wants to add something.
Just to clarify, like, Ibele is actually a current, or his term just expired, so he is a current member whose term expired. I just wanted to clarify.
I'm wondering, could we put them in the alternate seat? And then make sure we got someone, I mean, I don't know.
So
But
my inclination would be to, I know and trust Peter. I don't know those other folks. I don't know if you do or not.
What were the names again? I'm sorry.
Christoph Ubele and Peter Hans.
But so I only know one, so it's not a fair choice for me because I only know the one name. But what I will say is that's the board review is the one that does the tax assessments, right? It does that work. It does. I don't know how long was Christopher on that?
I believe Christoph was appointed and has served at least 1 year of that term.
He's on the phone there, and he's got it over there.
2025, he was appointed.
Okay. I mean,
So if we put those 2 on, there's still 1 more, right?
yeah, could
Then
we?
Can we just make a motion and put those 2 on?
So we would be
They're
doing.
both good.
Sure, and we're doing this because we're in an emergency. Like you got a meeting on Thursday, and these guys meet once a year. It's a 3-week
Peter's
job.
Former village president.
Sure.
Yeah, he's
But I would feel, can we put them in the alternate seat so that we could have, is that allowed?
Yeah, we can move him around later. You could, I think you could do what you want.
Just so he gets his quorum, I think is what the goal is.
Right.
So
So-
fill the alternates, but leave the main seat open is what you're saying?
So that Carol has a chance and Mark has a chance and the residents can participate. I don't know. It just seems like this is, I don't know.
If we do make one alternative, can we move that person to the permanent?
Sure,
Can you do this?
sure.
All right.
Sure.
That
Okay,
seems like a good way to go.
I'll make a motion to appoint Christoph Ibele and Peter Hans as the alternatives to the Board of Review.
Second.
No, whatever, you got it.
All in favor, say aye. Okay, that motion carries.
Thanks for pointing that out.
Question, what about the other committees that weren't on the sheet, like recognition, services, Safe Street for All, and communications? There, I mean, there might be.
We're gonna talk about services, aren't we? Cause is that on the agenda there tonight? We get down
It's
there?
not on the agenda.
All right.
We talked about combining that potentially with public works. So I-
Yeah.
at that
Yeah,
point-
services become redundant.
Yeah.
So we're gonna make source of public works one.
Okay, I didn't bring up, we did not vote for committee chairs. I don't know if you guys want to talk about that tonight or you want to move on. Because there has been mixed messages on whether trustees should be chairing the committees. It is in our ordinances, but there seems to be a need to go otherwise, and I want direction from the board to proceed.
So you don't have a choice.
No,
It's either
Kate's
or.
got her hand up if
Sorry,
you
Kate.
want.
Okay,
Sorry, Kate.
That's okay. I supported the way that they were listed. And I also think the rationale behind having Hans serve in the role on ZBA as chair. It sounded good to me. So I don't have any issues with the chair. I think that that is a valid conversation to have. I think we could appoint chairs so that, because it's really, from a functional standpoint, going to be hard for these committees to start meeting, even though we just appointed members, if they don't have a chair. So I am open to the conversation on, do we start to empower more residents and non-trustees to chair certain committees? You know, happy to have that. I don't think that that blocks us approving chairs tonight, so we can get rolling and then, you know, have that conversation as we go.
Okay, thank you, Kate.
My one comment on chairs is, you don't need a chair to run a committee. You need a committee to run a committee. Sometimes trustees work, because you got a certain things, sometimes they prefer to have a resident. So I think it should be open, but we didn't change that ordinance yet. So the old ordinance is still there. Problem, and we gotta have 3 readings, which means we're several months away. So I'm the one that keeps pushing to get trustees off, but really we have to fix the ordinance before we go ahead with that. So I'm kind of not pushing that right now.
It's
right?
okay. You're comfortable with the committee chairs?
Well, not really, but that's the
For the
ordinance, so, you know, you don't win them all. And, well, it's good.
Okay, then I will make a motion to appoint the committee chairs as presented.
With adding Peter Helms up to chair,
Going forward,
right?
I think I did that in the last motion.
Okay, never mind that. Second.
I'll second. Yeah.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
All right. Look at that business.
Can I just,
Chair and alternate, I was confused. Either-
2 different committees. He's an alternate on for taxes, chair and so forth.
all right. So board matters, we're on agenda item 8A. There's a consent agenda. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Well, I had one thing on the consent, the minutes, for that special meeting last Monday. I was, in that agenda, it says I wasn't there when we came out.
Point of order. Point of order. I think, Rocky, if you want to talk about something, you need to make a motion to remove it from the consent agenda, right?
Oh, is that how that
So
works?
if you
Then I
want to, yeah, if you want to discuss that, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Is there any other items that you guys would like removed from the consent agenda?
No.
Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda minus 8A9?
Motion to approve minus 89.
9, wait, what's, it's 11, right?
It's 11?
It's
No,
11.
it's May 11th is what he wants, not
Yeah,
9.
9.
No, that's 8.
It's Roman numeral.
B11.
Eight.
VII.
Sorry. You're
Oh,
right.
I'm sorry. It's the May 11th meeting?
Yes,
Okay,
that's the
okay.
one I want.
Okay, apologies. I misunderstood. Taylor, do you have the motion?
To approve the consent agenda minus 8A8.
All in favor, raise your hand. Kate.
I don't know if we
seconds.
needed I don't know if we needed a second, but I'll second.
Kate's the second. All approve, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, that motion carries. Rocky,
I just wanted, the thing added to those minutes if possible. The reason I left that meeting is I think the meeting was illegal, the closed session. And I wanted to end the closed session. I brought it up 3 times in closed session to end it, and you guys refused, you know, and so I left. Because we were just sitting in there complaining. We were not deciding anything that had to be in closed session. And I just would like that to be in the minutes, that's why I wasn't there when it came out of closed session. I think that was illegal, what we're doing in there. And it won't happen again if I have anything to say about it.
Rocky is correct. Sometimes there is so much getting done so fast that the ability for the trustees to know in advance what the closed session was about, it slipped under the cracks. And we have noted it moving forward that the trustees would maybe get a memo, but it was not intentional. I genuinely believe it was, just too much work being done, but Rocky is correct.
I was just like it added, that's why.
Would it be okay if it's added to this meeting minutes?
However it works out.
Is that allowed? That works? Okay, so we'll approve the minutes, but we'll put it in these minutes for today,
Okay.
Rocky's comments.
Can I-
Just approve.
Yes,
Why wouldn't we want to amend if those other minutes are the meeting minutes of record? Why wouldn't we want to just amend the minutes from May, whatever that is,
We
12th?
have been asked, even in my tenure, made a motion to to approve minutes with whatever amendment.
okay,
So if we want to,
Oh, I think that'd be cleaner if it was
Let's
on
do
the
it.
same one.
Well,
Let's
that's
do it.
easy.
do you want to make the motion, Rocky?
So motion that we approve the May 11th minutes with just the note that I left the meeting because I thought, the closed session was complete. Leave it at that. Won't explain why.
I second that, and I think by May 11th, you meant May 12th. Oh, wait,
not
no,
reading it.
is it May 11th? Sorry, never mind, my bad. Too many meetings.
I was gonna say too much vacation.
Whoa, wow.
Kidding.
Thank you, Kate, for helping us through this. That was an insightful way to get it correct. And you're always sharp on these items, so thank you. If that works for everybody, I'll call the vote. Everybody who say aye, you approve or raise your hand, that motion carries. Okay, ordinances. We're on 8C1. This is an ordinance that we read previously. This is the third reading of it, of chapter 1 and 2 of the village ordinances to transfer committee nomination authority from the village president to the full board of trustees. And I would like to make the motion.
Well, but, okay, there's a few things we still missed in there. We missed one spot where president was still there. There's just a couple things we missed in that.
Can you tell me
I was
where?
reading with I've got it written here. I'm trying to find it right here because I got it written by number. Is it about the budget? What page is it? Kate's really good at this. What page is that ordinance on? Oh, there it is. There it is. So on 1.04, 1.03, 1.04, I could never be a lawyer. 3C, the plan commission, number 3. It says meetings may be called by the village president. This is just a clarification. The rest are corrections. I thought we were gonna try to get this so that any two committee members could call meetings.
Okay, yeah, so
Were we
I
gonna do that later at another date, or were we doing that here?
can bring it for the June meeting. I thought it would be extremely confusing to have changes to a changed ordinance that's in the middle of changes.
And I would call that a change, all right? The other ones are kind of corrections. So in 2, the second one. 2.028, 2.02, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 8. Term of office. It says May 1st, we have to appoint. Is that really, if we're picking that date, so the trustees are in April, right? One of the problems I had with the ranked choice is that it didn't quite give me enough time to find out who some of the people were on there. Is that somebody that in here we make like the 15th or something?
100%. I'm happy to bring that for you in June.
That you should think there should also be a June thing. All right, well, maybe we'll just do the one presidential, other than 2.029, 2.029A. Second trustee may from time to time be appointed. This is a supplemental membership. why are we appointing the second trustee to committees? I thought we were gonna stop doing that. 9A says the second trustee may be from time to time be appointed as a voting member. They get their vote on the board. Why are we appointing a second trustee to a committee? I thought that's what we're trying to get rid of.
All of these can be changed. We can work together. The problem is
All right,
We
so you're
couldn't-
saying just bring these up.
because
You
it
guys
was
talk-
noticed as moving authority for nominations, and that's the way it was noticed, we had to wipe the other changes
Oh, all right. Okay,
and
never mind.
restart those.
The rest of these stuff all the same.
There's a lot of work to do in chapter 1 and 2, but
Okay.
we only had authority to proceed with the changes related to transfer of power.
I remember, that's when they took the knees off discussion. I forgot that. Okay, never mind. The rest of these changes were all along that line.
Yeah, so we changed these and then we'll have to go back and
You
redo.
don't have to go back through that, it's fine.
this.
Did I make a motion?
I interrupted, I
If
think.
you can include in the motion the approval of ordinance L 202601.
Sure.
And
Okay, so I make a motion to approve ordinance. Wait a second, hold on. Do I have to say waive the third reading? I have to read all this?
third reading with
This is the
You
third
waived
reading. We waived one.
You made the second reading, not the third.
This is the third.
first and second.
Third readings were waived. First and second readings were waived last time.
This is the third.
Yes.
I'm gonna ask Taylor, how would you like this motion?
So we are waiving the third reading.
So I motion to waive the third reading of revisions to chapter 1 and 2 of the village ordinances to transfer committee nomination authority from the village president to the full board of trustees as outlined in ordinance L-2026-01.
Seconded.
I'll get that one more time.
I make a motion to waive the third reading and approve the revisions to chapter 1 and 2 of the village ordinances for committee nomination authority from the village president to the full board of trustees as outlined in ordinance L-2026-01. And who was the second on this?
I was.
Brian, all in favor, say aye or raise their hands. That motion carries. Okay, new business. Discussion possible action, village board determination on affordable housing, TID designation. Presentation by Kate Crowley.
Come on up. Might as well get used to it.
I'm gonna get everybody out of here by 9 o'clock. Is my goal.
We're using this.
Try again.
How
Try it again.
about this
Yeah,
one?
there you
But,
I think he shut his system.
Oh, yeah, he texted me tomatoes off. Oh. Am I good? Okay, well, thank you. I'm, the next two agenda items, Mark Letter, in discussion with Brian Mooney asked me to present as Mark is in Japan. And probably asleep right now, hopefully. I want to start, with, going over a chart that's in the packet that relevant to both of these. Does someone have a ability to share screen and go to page?
You join Teams, you should share it.
I can do it. I can do it.
Sorry, I should have given you that.
What am I sharing? Oh, the packet.
The packet.
It's faster.
It's a dying.
And what page am I going to?
102 of the packet. Right there, yeah. Can you zoom in on that table? Or did you close that search bar?
Yeah.
Let me tell you how to use it. Really good. Perfect. So then, while you're getting that separate, this table is, like, as I said, relevant to this discussion item and the next one. But I think it's been a little while since we've talked about the financial management plan and the work the finance committee is doing. And so I wanted to kind of set the stage with some of the work that we've been doing. This table here is the results from the financial management plan that our consultant Ellers did for us last fall. Brian, is that right? With a twist that the committee recommended at the March meeting. And I like the twist. So when the financial management plan was done, what our consultant did was projected for the years from now until 2030, what our gap in operating levy would be, with the assumption that we would go to a referendum to fill that gap. And the committee, the finance committee in March, for reasons that have been discussed, recommended not to go to referendum. So then Brian Mooney went back to Ellers and said, okay, take those same numbers, but show us what would happen if we used our unassigned fund balance to fill the gap rather than going to a referendum to increase the levy. And so the unassigned fund balance is what we often call the rainy day fund, sitting up here. And the rainy day fund, the unassigned fund balance, is the top line of that table where it says unassigned. So this table starts in 2020 and goes to 2030. So the estimated unassigned fund balance at the end of 2025 is 1,562,398. Those numbers aren't audited yet, so that's why it says estimated. But you can see it was 1.4 million the year before, so we know we're in a pretty good ballpark with that guess. We have a policy, the village does, that to keep the unassigned fund balance, and the policy is written at the bottom left of this table, to keep the unassigned fund balance above, well, between 15 and 25% of the general fund's current year general fund expenditure budget, which is a mouthful. The green line.
Excuse me, is that so we keep our AAA rating or something like that?
It impacts the AAA rating. It's basically just like, like if you, the comparison to personal finances would be someone saying, hey, I want to have 6 months of emergency fund. It's our policy of how much money we want to have for unexpected expenses. The green line, second from bottom, that says unassigned fund balance as a percentage of general fund budget, is tracking how we're doing against that. So numbers there higher than 25% say we're exceeding. We have more money than the range that our policy says. So in 2025, the middle column, it's estimated that we've got about 46, we have 1.5 million over a $3.4 million general fund, about 46%. So we're well above the range that we have in our policy. And I believe our auditors opine on this policy being consistent with other communities. So we've got some wiggle room. Then what this chart that then does with this new twist from Ellers asked for by the finance committee in March is assume that we're going to fill our projected operating gap every year with the rainy day fund. And what does that do, that percentage? And if we filled that projected gap every year from now until 2030, you can see that we go from 46% in 2025 down to 39, 36, and then in 2030, we're at 13.66%, which is below our policy. So I'm speaking for myself because the finance committee hasn't looked at these numbers together, but you can see that we will eventually run into a problem. But what this says to me is that we're not running into a problem next year, and possibly not even the next year. There are considerations that need to be discussed, presumably first to the finance committee and then to bring to the board, about what is the impact on our AAA rating, Rocky. But one strategy to get us through these next few years is to dip into the unassigned fund balance with considerations for what that means for our debt policy. And so that's something the committee will be discussing and will come to the.
I just remember that we were much lower back in the late nineties and Garth Strother pushed that up when I was on the board to get us up over number for the AAA rating. I just don't remember the percentage, but I thought it was up over 20 or something of the
Okay.
AAA rating. That's what the question. Because we were below that in the nineties.
I see. Yeah,
Is 25 that number?
25, well, for Brian, you've spoken directly to our financial consultants about this, so correct me if I'm relaying this wrong. But what I understand is that dipping where the bond rating could become a factor is if it's year after year that we're using the unassigned fund balance to plug the gap without a plan. So the debt markets would look at it and say, well, this is
Not sustainable.
This is not sustainable.
Okay.
And so the question that the finance committee will have to discuss and likely with our financial advisors is, well, if we do it for 3 years, hypothetically, but we have a plan that we're going to do X, Y, and Z in the third year, so that the fourth year we're out of the structural deficit. What would the possible impact be on our debt rating?
Okay.
And this assumes we can't fix the current financial problem. So if for some reason next year we find a way to plug the hole, we won't necessarily be dropping down.
Yeah, this
This
assumes, we didn't bring the whole plan here to, well, I didn't bring the whole plan.
You don't have to,
But.
I just made it
assume
clear
some-
that this is based
Yeah.
on the problem.
This
If
is
we
based on the
fix the problem, then
Yeah.
that
Yeah. This is the big.
There's a couple other factors that they look at, but it would go, I believe, at the time that we went out to borrow, that they would do that. So it wouldn't trigger it until that time that we went out.
Okay.
So then this brings me to the first agenda item here that I'm here to speak about, which is one of the, so now that I've kind of outlined what the problem looks like, I want to tell you about one of the solutions. One of the solutions is looking at potentially accelerating the closure of our tax increment financing districts. And we haven't done the work to look at that, and our consultants haven't done the work to look at it because there is this requirement that I'll tell you about, that the board opine on affordable housing being one of the uses of project costs in TID 3. So I'll explain that, but at high level, what the finance committee is asking the board tonight is to review the statutory requirement about affordable housing, just simply so that we know that it's legally possible to model and explore some strategies where TIF districts donate revenue to one another in order to build it in and see if that's part of the solution.
Is that specifically 2727 and 2725? Are those the two projects that are?
Can I come back to that?
Yes.
So we have, I might be ruining your get out of here at 9:30 shout out, but I won't go too long. We have 3 open TID districts, tax increment district, TID 3, TID 4, and TID 5. And TID 3 is the biggest in geography, but also in terms of revenue. And it is, if we don't do anything, TID 3 will close in 2032. So one of the strategies we want to explore is having it close earlier. And a way to have it close earlier, potentially, is that the surplus revenue, which we have in TIDs 4 and 5, are donated to TID 3. So TID 3 could possibly close 2 years earlier, maybe 3. And that has a meaningful impact on the numbers that are on the screen.
Is there any other slide you want me to go to or stay here?
If you want to go up then to, I think, like page 82, maybe. It's a little bit of a guess.
No.
Great.
Is it,
You talking about Cole's letter?
Oh, that was way off.
Those letters are on 92, 93. That's what you're looking at.
92.
Actually, it goes like 2 pages. I actually don't want to go close letter right now. Okay.
Cool.
Well, I guess we can. I
Cole's
can
letter
tell you.
looked like a bunch of legalese.
Yeah, that's why I wanted
I'm
to
not
avoid
gonna
it,
tell you what
because-
it is, you decide. Is that what he's basically saying in that page and a half?
So, yeah, okay, so the state statute for tax increment financing allows this mechanism that we want to explore of TIDs donating revenue from one to the other. And in order for a TID to be just legally eligible to receive donated funds from another district, it has to meet one of multiple criteria. The one that I believe, the finance committee believes that TID 3 meets is what is in Cole's memo, which is that if the project costs in the recipient district are used to create, provide, or rehabilitate low-cost housing. And Ryan Mooney went to Bill Cole and said, we have affordable housing costs in this TID, which we'll tell you about. Is that low-cost housing? And Bill Cole said, it's not defined in the statute, which seems like something we say frequently at this highest. And it's up for the village board to determine are the costs that have been undertaken in TID 3 low-cost housing. And so the memo that is on the screen goes through some of the costs that have been in TID 3.
That's the question.
Yep.
When we do the TIDs, we usually have to have like a representative from the tech schools and stuff like that. Do they also have to weigh in on whether or not they think this had a benefit? Or can just the board decide?
The answer is yes, in two ways. One, and I'll go over this, is they weighed in when the village in 2016 put into the plan for TID 3 affordable housing as one of the project costs. And
Right.
so the Joint Review Board is the body that you're asking about, I believe.
Yes.
And it's a representative of all the other impacted taxing bodies, school, state, county. And in 2016, the village went to the Joint Review Board and said that we want to amend the plan for TID 3. If you can scroll up.
So that's where I'm
like
going. So wouldn't the
pages.
joint review board be the one that makes this decision?
No.
Because isn't it in our best interest to say, yeah, we did cheap housing?
So it'll come back to them. So
Oh.
if the board agrees that low-cost housing is a cost of TID 3, and we go through this process with the finance committee and our financial advisor and come up with a plan that the board likes that involves solving some of our financial problems with the donation of TID revenue to TID 3, then we would go back to the joint review board, which is that
Oh, that's when they
body,
get there.
and amend the plan once again to allow for the donation of revenue. So the answer is yes, twice. Once they've already done, once they would do again.
So what we're being asked to do is affirm what was done. And that is
Yes.
make it low, that there's low cost housing in there. And
Yeah.
that already was reviewed by the Joint Review Board and determined to be the case when they granted the TID in the first place. right?
Yeah, it was in the second place. it wasn't in the
Yeah,
next
second place,
place,
sorry, sorry.
Yeah.
So is that we need to just do a motion to say that.
Well, just so in according to this letter, there's what, 60 some places that are like cheaper than they would be if they're on the open market.
Yeah, so in TID 3, there's been affordable housing.
Yeah.
In our TID plan at 700 University Bay Drive, 9 affordable units. This is from our village comprehensive plan. At Arbor Crossing, which is also in TID 3, 26 affordable units. The village with TID funds supported those projects directly with assistance to the developer. The TID also is paying debt for the reconstruction of Marshall Court. Those projects are on or near Marshall Court. So through the direct assistance to developers and through the infrastructure borrowing the TID supports to reconstruct the roadways to allow those developments. My recommendation is that the board finds that TID 3 has had low cost housing as a prior project cost.
All right, since you can't make a motion today, then I'll just say it. Motion, can I make a motion to do it then?
I think
I
so.
make a motion to say that the TID 3 has affordable housing, as specified in the packet. What is the exact wording is used there? Before units.
All kind of goes into the beginning of the letter. We just read it from one of his kind of.
Maybe I jumped in here too soon. receive tax funds. So. Yeah, the funds were used to support low-cost tax incremental housing in TID 3. So that's the motion.
I have a question. Like, let's say you're not supposed to do this. Let's say it's a bad choice. Who has injury in this?
The concern, I'm gonna answer that differently. The concerned parties would be the other taxing entities. So Rocky's question is a good one about, does the joint review board see this?
They would benefit from this.
Well, yeah, that's why I changed the wording of your question. When a TID closes, so right now there's $1.5 million of revenue every year from TID 3 that's going to the TID, and that's revenue that would otherwise have gone to all the taxing bodies, not just the village. And it can only be used within the tax increment district while a tax increment district is in existence. Closing it earlier means that tax base, $90 million of tax base, goes back to the tax rolls, so that revenue then no longer goes into the tax increment district, but it goes to the taxing bodies. We're constrained by levy limits, so it's a little bit more complicated, but for a school district or county, closing a TID early means that they see the revenue from earlier from the increased tax base that the TID afforded.
So the zoning, so we're borrowing these TIDs to pay off that one. Do you think the zoning board sees that as a net win, even though, I mean, it's not free money? We're taking away from these TIDs.
Yeah.
Making them fatter, closing off this one.
Yeah.
Putting it back on the market.
Right.
That's what you're doing.
So
And the board's gonna think that that's to their advantage.
So TID 3, the last 5 years of a tax increment district, this is state law, you're out of your expenditure period, so you can no longer spend any more money. And so from a school district standpoint, I'm just going to speak for the school district, even though there's many taxing bodies impacted. TIDs 4 and 5 have surplus revenue and are still within their expenditure period. So another option that we're not considering at this moment is that the village could, who controls the TID money, could spend it on other project costs within TID 4 and 5. So if I were the school district representative, I would say, oh, I would much rather you use the money from those TIDs to close this one early rather than make additional expenditures in TIDs 4 and 5.
I get what you're saying.
This is Weston's.
Yeah. No, I get it. We closed another one a really long time ago because of bad hand. They want to get on tax.
Yeah.
Everybody benefits. Like the residents benefit, village benefits, school district benefits, the Dane County benefits. I'm just wondering who is not benefiting. Like, does the developer have a say in any of this?
In order to do this, and there's work to be done, but the obligations that the village has to the developers, and I think there's some outstanding debt too, right? Geo debt. That would all need to be paid off early. So the developers would be getting their money earlier, and we'd be paying off bonds earlier.
The developer benefits too. Let's move. Let's rock and roll. Okay. You got a motion? Do you have a second?
Yeah, nobody seconded it yet.
Yeah, I was just gonna say.
I will second it.
Can you just reread the motion, someone?
Taylor, how did you capture it before I go back and reread what I said?
So the motion provided in the packet, prepackaged, is not what I think.
Oh.
You said I would need clarification.
Where is it? I need to read it. I'll use the motion that's in the packet if I can find it. Where is it?
Is it the motion to approve Eller's TID annual reporting services?
No,
No.
I'm gonna read.
Oh, is that the next one?
Brian.
Oh, here it is, yeah.
To affirmatively determine that TID 3 meets the definition of low cost (affordable housing) standards as outlined in Wisconsin statute 66.1105.
Okay. Thank you. Is there a motion now?
You got a motion? Brian's got a motion. Is there a second?
You seconded.
All right, all in favor, say aye. All right, motion carries. Kate, the floor is still yours.
Okay, this next one should be quick, because I already told you everything. So this next item is to approve the TIF annual reporting services with Ellers, which is in your packet next. I don't know about historically, but the last several years, we've used a firm called Vanderwall and Associates to do three things, that this motion would move that work to a different firm, Ellers, Ellers and Associates, whose proposal is in the packet. What Vanderwall has historically done is do our reporting on TIDs to the state, which is a required report that goes to the state each year for each TID district. In fact, in that low cost memo, there was a snippet from TID 3 last year. Vanderwall also prepared a summary of what's happening in all the TID districts individually and as a whole for that annual joint review board meeting of those affected taxing bodies. What am I forgetting? What else do they do? The financial modeling of the tax increment districts. And so the packet here has those services all laid out from Ellers. The financial modeling piece is what I was showing you in the beginning with that table, which is the possible TID closures through this work would be put into that coordinated with the financial management plan so that we could see the impact of TID closures on the unassigned fund balance. And then bring it to the board for an educated decision.
Finance, you guys all want this. Gloria wants this. I trust Gloria.
Mark's got it.
The Ellers TID annual reporting services.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right.
And Christmas came early.
No, I mean, absolutely. It's not to say that Vanderwall hasn't provided good services, but Ehlers is just, I believe that you can look up if they're qualified to offer these services, and Ehlers comes up. And Vanderwall has even said that they just aren't, this isn't their wheelhouse.
I trust Gloria. I trust Kate. I trust the finance committee. Let's proceed. Kate Elsvik.
Yeah, just a quick question. So I saw the cost noted, I think it's like, 1.5K per TID analysis or whatever. I just had a question overall. If we take away some of our contracting work from Vanderwall, is this like a net for the cost to the village? I'm wondering, just are we going to be flat? Will it be more expensive? I just kind of wanted to understand like overall impact, if there is anything notable on that front.
I ran the numbers and I don't have them with me tonight. I want to say it was relatively close to even between the two. Yeah.
I would assume if we're just moving one service to another, but I just wanted to gut check that and make sure it would be about even.
Yeah, I think did the TIF pay for this?
Yeah, just looking at their straight charge, billable charges to us, it came out to be close to that same range as what they're.
Okay, great, thank you.
This doesn't come out of our operational budget.
What's that?
This doesn't come out of our operational budget.
No, it's in the TIF.
No,
Okay.
Yeah.
Just making sure. So, Kate, do you want to read this one, Mark's motion, or who should read this motion? Mark's got it already written out. Motion to approve the TIF annual reporting service with Ellers and Associates as presented. Thanks, Mark. Hope you're enjoying Japan.
I can second.
Okay, I'm going to call the vote. All in favor, say aye or raise your hand. That motion carries.
Good.
Thank you, Kate.
Thank you, Kate.
Please thank Mark Lederer for us and the finance committee for your exceptional work. All right, let's go to the next item on the agenda. Discussion possible action, personnel committee recommendations for staffing needs and clerk retention. I'm looking for it in the packet and I'm just not finding the page number.
I think it's up at the top.
I apologize. When putting the packet together, it was listed for me as 7D3, so it's towards the top.
Okay. So in Carol's absence, first we want to thank Carol and we want to thank the Personnel Committee because they are doing everything they can to get us staff and the assistance we need. And they should be recognized for that. Brian, it sounds like you want to create that you and the committee are looking for a limited term employee for up to 20 hours a week dedicated to reducing the village open records request backlog. And you want creation of a limited term employee for up to 20 hours a week to assist with recreational programming needs and village communications. Now, there's also a recommendation for Taylor Wall, but I'm deeply sad.
I'm not sad. If he didn't take that job, I'd smack him with a 2x4.
So Taylor Wall is very talented. Carol, upon learning that Taylor had other opportunities, whipped into action, tried to get an alternative offer to keep Taylor. But while we want to give Taylor the moon, stars in the sky, his heart is in elections and he really wants to do more election work. And there's a great opportunity for that. So we're going to support him following his dreams, although we wish, for a different outcome.
Can leave a clone here.
If Taylor has friends like Taylor, we would like to meet them.
I realize it's weird for a clerk to speak on an agenda item for or against, but I just wanted to let the board know that this is a decision based on wanting to work for a large election jurisdiction. So that's my primary motive for what has happened, what is ending up happening. Rocky will have to smack me with a 2x4 because my life is too exciting to explain right now and litigate in this particular session, but suffice to say, I am going to work for a larger election jurisdiction. I personally don't really want the bonus at this point. So take that under advisement, please. And then, what I told the personnel committee was that extra staff would very much help reduce backlogs. I think the village would be well positioned. Okay. But that's all I'll say. Thank you.
Thanks, Taylor.
Thank you. So is there, we could talk about this, but if everybody's already on board and they've read the packet and the materials, I don't want to waste anybody's time. We need more people for these two
The
positions.
only thing I would say is what Marilyn commented. I hope we get some village.
It will be posted on the village website.
Okay, thank you.
Does anyone have any other thoughts on?
So are we talking about just approving at this point?
2 and 3 from,
2 and 3 from the agenda?
or I'm sorry, 1 and 2, excuse me.
The LTEs.
Yep, the LTE positions.
Kate, do you have any thoughts? Nope. You good?
No, just second what you said about personnel and thank you to that committee for their time and thoughtful recommendation.
Good.
Is there a motion on the floor? Does anyone want to make a motion?
Sure, make a motion that we allow Brian Rudy to fill these 2 limited term positions, as stated in Carol Barford's letter.
I'll second it.
All in favor, say aye or raise your hand. All right, that motion carries. Taylor, I would love to stay in touch though, because you know a lot and I like to be around smart people and pick their brains.
I'm envious of where you're going, that's for sure. That's pretty cool.
Okay, next item on the agenda. Discussion possible action, Village Community Center and DPW building improvements.
So I spent quite a bit of time going around just to look at the capital things. I did have a chance to, I was talking to Tom Deegan a little bit, and he actually wrote what I told him, and I didn't know he did this on the phone. So this is, actually looks better than what I had, what Tom Deegan wrote. But this is essentially what I figured out. If no one has one, we have a few copies here, you can have them. Basically, I don't think we need new buildings. I don't think we have a building problem. I think we have a usage problem. And it becomes really clear when you start walking around checking. DPW, I believe that if we just, for instance, we can move the fire truck, they have a place up in the cold storage. If we would box that off and heat it for them and make that how they want it, the fire association, because I mean, they're a big part of the village. So ask them, they've got the space. If we build that inside the building, fire trucks out, now we have 3 bays for DPW. Thing with DPW is they have to be able to wash their trucks in a heated bay to get the salt and everything off. They can't use those bays now because the overspray goes on the fire truck and on the equipment. So if we get that stuff out, then bingo, we just solved the space problem for DPW. We can also put a lift over there for them to do oils, and we can put in the back of that main bay also. And the reason why they hadn't looked at that before is everybody said, wait, we use that for our party once a year. Well, my suggestion is we decorate that with red and white and blue crepe paper, and that they put a table back there, and that's where they serve the beer. But we can put the table in that room, and we have their space needs covered in the old building. If we go over to cold storage, what they really need there is an overhead crane. I won't go into details, all right? And the overhead crane's there for safety. We can talk about that later. I think we should look into that. Also, we don't need a backhoe. We should get rid of the backhoe. Anybody's driven a backhoe, I've got many hours on them, knows that they're kind of a pain in the butt because you got to position the truck to the work. You only do a little bit, then you got to move everything because they're not very stable pieces of equipment. We get rid of that backhoe, all right? And then we get 2 other pieces to replace it. Articulating Bobcat. You guys see those little things that Ben in the middle of Bobcats have? You can put a bucket on them. The crew could just go to the grappling hook and load trees if we have a danger. Also, you can get a snow bucket on that, so it's easier to clean the parking lots around the village buildings here, which are kind of a pain to plow right now. Those are the things we're going to recommend. So rather than building a new building, I think we just augment what we have, move a few things around, swap out a few pieces of equipment. We got it. The other thing we have to do is we have to get a tired fork truck because we have to be able to get the lifts in and out of the marina. And we'd have to, if we had a fork truck, we could use the mezzanines that are not being utilized right now in cold storage. Also in cold storage, there's a big chunk of space that the police department has, which is mostly empty. So we can go in there and kind of reevaluate it. Maybe we can do something there to take care of our police needs over there. And in a minute, I'll read down the boats real quick. And then finally, where I got all this is when I look at the quarry's a mud hole. It's always been a mud hole. I've personally tried to clean that several times. The reason why it's a mud hole is we haul all our dirt and garbage up there. If on the far side of DPW, we pave a little bit and just put in a couple bins down there, they can put gravel, dirt, and whatnot down there. We carve in some, but the most important bin is where they put their street sweepings. Because right now they sweep the streets, we get all this crap, the cobalt and whatnot off cars, dump it in the quarry, have a good rain, and wash it all down Tally Hole Lanes. So if we take all that and put it over here on the roof, now we clean that up, and now the quarry doesn't have a source of new dirt. So if we get rid of the source of all the dirt coming in there, because chips and trees don't put dirt, we can actually clean that puppy up. So it's not a stink hole. Anybody who's up there knows how nasty it is up there. And to me, that's a gem in the village to take your dogs, kids. I know people go up there and have fires up on the ledge there. And it isn't fun when half the time it's full of mosquitoes and it smells. So I think if we go along these things, that's what we can do. So I'll just read the list quickly and then ask the board that we proceed.
Rocky, I just want to say, you have complimented me on my legal skills. I am in awe and admiration at your construction and engineering skills.
Yeah, well, this is what I know. I don't know the law, but I know this. Village Hall. This is what I would recommend, Village Hall, and again, I'm just telling the board, if they say we can go ahead, we'll go ahead and we'll actually get the committees and work out the details. In the Village Hall, I recommend new audio-visual system, carpet and paint, LED fixtures to save power, new HVAC controls, and an office for the judge, basically that corner over there. Box it off and give her a judge. That's it in the Village Hall. In the former fire station, I'd relocate the fire truck up to cold storage. We'd have to work with the association to make it a suitable area up there. It also works for them, and I believe all that we have sewer, we have everything up there we need to make that work for them. That opens up the whole DPW for our work staff. Then we install a vehicle lift there, do some outlets, some lights, minor tweaks. I'd put a door in one of the walls, again, a minor tweak, we can go in later, but that's about it. West side storage, what we call cold storage. That'd be the fire truck enclosure. I put a bathroom up there because the fire department need a bathroom, we put one up there. When we say cold storage, it doesn't freeze in there, we just don't heat it to 50, 60 degrees. So if you had a bathroom, you'd heat that, and the fire department area would be heated. The rest would still be cold storage. The overhead crane for the crew, I've talked to Terry about that. The problem we have right now is when you look at the leaf boxes and things in trucks, we pick those up now, and while we have the backhoe, you get the backhoe and pick that puppy up and drive the truck out. Dangerous as hell. Someone's gonna get hurt. And then we set it down. If we need an overhead crane, they can back the truck up, pick it up, pull the truck out, and then with that crane, we can set it back on a back wall or on a back shelf.
Does the current roof support the weight?
Overhead cranes go to the floor.
Okay.
And there was plenty of space there for it, and I'd only probably have it in one bay, because it's like you use it every day. I would pave the part of the area west of the salt shed, and that's where I put the bays, so we get the gravel, the dirt, the pea gravel, and the street sweepings over there. And you can have one of these, by the way. And then that's the 4 covered bins we're talking about. And these would be simple bins.
Sure.
DPW equipment, I'd dump the backhoe, I'd get an articulating backhoe, and I'd get a forklift. I have 10,000 pound capacity. That number we have to work out by boat lifts because they're overhanging loads. And that can be used. We don't have to go buy new fork trucks. We're using it a dozen times a year. We just got to keep air in the tires and the motor running. And then the quarry, all this other stuff makes it so we can finally fix the quarry. If we get the dirt and all the crap out, then we can finally go to the quarry and clean it up. So that's what I would like to do with the cap. So basically that cancels having the back half our packet. By the way, I think all this can be done without engineers. Terry can get contractors for the cranes. They install that. The only thing that would require engineering is the fire department room, and that could probably be done with our village engineer.
What do you think the cost of all this is?
The bathroom is mine too.
I haven't figured out the village hall. I think DPW, I guess it's around 800,000 is the number. I don't know what the crane costs. I figure a really good crane is probably about 300,000. By the time we add a few of the other things to get that fire station in, that might be a little more, but I don't think, that's what I'm guessing, around that number, 800. That's like a dart at the wall. It's not gonna be $1.5 million. And the building, I asked Tom if he could give me a dart at the wall for the village hall. He couldn't do that. But he also thinks it'll be far less than what everybody's talking about. The point is, what I'm talking about here, there'll still be money
Sure.
to get the community center going.
Sure. So, I want to be very mindful of time. We may
That's
not
what I had
have,
to say.
I loved hearing you. I could listen to you more because I'm in awe at your skills. But we may not have a quorum in 30 minutes. So I got to move things along quickly. Just to cover where we've been, we previously asked Terry, gave him a list of items to find bids for and to proceed with those. Terry has not been able to follow those instructions like exactly because you can't always get 3 bids. Sometimes you just get 2 bids. And so I think if Rocky and Terry and you guys could work together to help Terry proceed with the items that he's been given direction on. Because Brian and I talked about this too, like you need an electrician and you only got one bid. And if the bid is within reason, like $20,000 or 15,000 or whatever the number is, I think you guys should have the green light to proceed. It's just putting some guardrails. If you get one bid that's 100,000, it might be, you might have to wait. But you guys have the expertise and we don't have to get in their way. Is there something where the board,
What I would like the board to say is we can take the ideas to Public Works Committee. Go through the Public Works Committee with Terry cause make sure I'm in the right spot. And then the next meeting, then I'll have numbers.
That's
All
what I
right.
like.
sure, let's do that. Let's do that for these items.
Mhm.
I still think you guys gotta proceed with the ones that were
No,
already
they'll-
approved.
They'll get caught up. They'll get caught up.
They'll
with
get
this.
caught up.
Yep. Just do it with this. It'll be easier and more cost effective.
And Brian and I talked earlier as well, just like there's a room over there with just a bunch of stuff that, Goodwill doesn't want. So you just gotta empty out that room. There's some bathrooms in there, which
And a
if there's a way, and a shower. How much is a toilet? Like $100, $200? A new sink?
No.
300, 500 bucks?
No. Plumbing.
Bathrooms-
If you do
bathrooms
plumbing, you got
are-
10 grand. Yeah.
Plumbing. You're not doing plumbing.
Yeah.
You're just replacing the sink with a new sink. That's all you're doing.
Let's not evaluate
Okay,
costs. The
sure,
idea
sure.
is, I know where you're going with this. The idea is, the village hall's got a lot of closets that are just holding crap. So what someone has to do is say, everything in this building should be like $100 an item, $100 square inch stuff, everything else goes.
Okay, let me finish.
Right?
Sure. Sharon tried to sell everything. Nobody wants anything in that room. I think you just have to trash it. It's broken chairs from like the 90s. I don't know. There's, I think that's what it is.
It's a chair.
But we have put in a lot of effort to get somebody over the last 5 years to take this stuff and nobody wants it.
We should just pitch it.
Just
So,
throw it away.
pitch it.
What's the problem?
Pitch it. And then if there's a way, because I think one of the things that the police department wanted was a restroom, more restrooms. If there's a way to shove some stairs here,
No.
so they could have their own bathrooms.
Sheriffs are.
Let me finish, just let me finish. And then the other thing we were gonna, and you guys figured that out, it's just an idea. I'm not saying you have to do that. I'm saying, think about it. But if we could get rid of the boxes, move the boxes to DPW, they'll have the space for storage, which is what they're asking for.
I wouldn't even put storage here. We got all the storage we not in cold storage over there.
I'm talking about police evidence storage.
They've got 20% of a building over there all blocked in concrete.
So they've got very specific requirements for their storage, but
We can look at
step one is,
that.
let's get rid of the stuff.
One thing at a time.
One thing at a time, we'll look at it. And as far as stairways, adding a stairway is one of the most expensive things you can do to a building. If I sat here with $80,000 and I said, I give you a stairway, or the police can walk up and down the stairway and change and take a shower and then walk back up and walk through a locked door, and I'll take that 80,000, I'll put it in the community center. What are you gonna do? I'd put it in the community center.
Okay,
So, although I love the fact there's a room for the chair graveyard in here, I didn't know that, that's news to me. So a motion to send everything on this sheet, which we may need to photograph or something to make that there, except for the quarry item, which really doesn't belong in.
Or it doesn't fit, it's just
No,
to say where I was
I'm
going.
just saying, except for the quarry item. So, but the village hall, former fire station, DPW West storage, DPW equipment recommendations that Rocky forwarded here, to send those to Public Works to return to us in the June meeting.
Yes, and we'll have estimated pricing.
That's what I was just gonna say. Please include estimated
Yeah.
pricing, because I have to get our borrowing plans figured out for this
Well,
year.
so we need that so we can decide if we're gonna go that way or not, because the goal is to free up money to get that stupid community building started. I mean that
Okay.
affection.
to quickly proceed, I want to make sure, Brian Mooney, does that sound okay to you?
Yeah, as long as we have that for next month and the meeting, I can bring that back with estimates. I should be able to bring and loop in our financial advisor to give them a heads up as to what our needs are for this year. I think that helps put us on a path towards completion. If you're good with that, and that means that we will not be going forward with any of the RFP proposals that we received for the Village Hall project, I can reach out to everybody and let them know we've chosen not to proceed in that fashion.
Because one of these, they want $4 million, right? That's what I saw is
It depends on the estimate and the scope. So
Right, one of them gave an estimate, the other two didn't give pricing. It's a lot of,
So
I
I
don't think,
think that we have a responsibility to our village to explore this stuff first before we go down that road. It feels like that other road might be the right road in the long run, potentially, but we're just not in a place where we can afford.
the only thing in this list that I think we need a consultant on that we can't deal with is the AB. And there are some really good people, so the point is to make sure you get AB that's simple enough for people to use.
Yeah.
The audiovisual.
Yeah.
Everything else in here, I think we do ourselves. I
Setting
don't
up
think we need.
2 appointments next week.
Okay.
AP.
I don't think
Or,
we need.
excuse me, Thursday and then next week.
so we're basically saying, what does the police department want? Check, give it to them. What does admin want? Check, give it to them. Instead of a brand new building, we're just gonna give them the items that they want one by one.
Well, maybe.
We're doing-
There are, I want a donkey, but I can't put it anywhere. So
Let's-
we might go through the list and see, maybe they want a shower up there, but there's a shower down here.
Let's
You
stick
can walk
with this
down.
first and see where it comes back.
Let's just do this and see if it comes back, all right?
That I support it. I just want a deadline. Can we insert deadlines into our work?
I will have, the deadline saying it's next board meeting.
Yeah,
Okay,
I actually had it in my motion.
okay.
Yeah.
Is it return
Yeah.
of pricing to us for the next
No.
board meeting?
No, it has to be,
And-
because I think this stuff with DPW and Terry's gotta be done, there's safety issues.
All right, Kate, I'm sorry I didn't turn my head.
No, it's okay. Does that give Public Works enough? Is there a meeting on the books for Public Works? Rocky, is the next step, you're gonna take this to Public Works and have a discussion there to then come back to the June board meeting? I just wanna make sure
Yes,
we
my
can
goal is
support
to-
that.
Well, we just appointed the Public Works. My goal is that we may meet twice this month, most
Right,
likely.
okay,
To get together,
Okay.
see who wants to do what, and I'll talk with Terry and get numbers and see how far we can get.
perfect, okay.
All right. Do we need a motion right now?
Just put one out there.
Okay. Is there a second?
Yes, second, sure.
Uh,
Agree.
Taylor, can you kindly read the motion again?
Motion to refer the draft renovations and equipment recommendations that Van Aston provided to the Public Works Committee in the June meeting. Include estimated pricing. Verification, is it?
Don't put June meeting, because I'm actually gonna see if we can meet sooner, all right? And then maybe say next meeting if we.
I think he means to return by the
Board
June
meeting.
board.
Oh,
meeting.
board, June
Yeah.
board meeting,
Yes.
my apologies.
Okay. And then we need to remove the quarry from that as well in the motion. Not the quarry part on the sheet, sorry, all right, you got it.
I just added that because I was telling Deacon, all this leads to that, so he added that at the end.
I know what it
If everybody knows the motion, all in favor say aye or raise your hand.
Aye.
Fabulous. That motion carries. I look forward to seeing your results. I'm very excited. Item 8D5. 2026 Village Facilities Project Request for Proposals Review.
We just agreed to table that for now.
Just agree to table.
All right, can I ask that we support the pool committee with their needs so that they could get an RFP going? I think they want to hit the ground running too. We previously agreed that all these projects would move forward at the same time, and I want to support that.
What pool projects?
Well, the pool building, the pool committee would like somebody to pay attention and help with that project. the
But I
pool
thought
committee.
we talked about that, and we're gonna try to get a committee up just to go after that building.
And the pool committee is going to do it. Is there anything that Kate needs at this moment, or do I
Well,
wait?
hold
Kate,
on.
I'm gonna call on Kate.
Well,
Okay, so as of 2 hours ago, I became chair of pool, so thank you for that. I have my homework. And we obviously have some openings on pool. So you are correct. I just want to kind of point of order here. Pool is not on the agenda tonight. So I do think we should have a substantial conversation about pool, but I think it should be properly noticed. And I think if I'm reading things correctly here, according to Brian's memo, we have the 3.4 million this year to spend towards facilities and the 4.5 million in next year's budget. I know we don't have a CIP finalized yet, but that's a substantial amount of dollars going into our facilities. Again, maybe not all buildings, but I think the intention here is to solve as many problems as we can and still have some money towards our pool building. And so that's my takeaway here. So I will get things rolling with pool as quickly as possible. And, we can properly notice that and get it on if it's the June meeting that makes sense.
Okay, I got thrown for a loop here. I've been on 3 of these. I can draw you half a dozen pool buildings from my brain.
Work with Kate.
I'm not on this thing. I thought we were making a pool committee.
Yeah, but you guys she's leading it, but you guys are welcome to work with each other.
All right. I don't think the pool committee should be doing this, just as a point of order, because that is a community center that the pool uses for 3 months out of the year. I don't think this should be driven by the pool. Because that is more about making a community center. I don't think the pool, especially people outside the village, have a whole lot to say about.
What do you think about letting it start there and then expanding into
Well,
the other groups?
The few discussions I have with a few people on the pool, they're thinking about their pool. For instance, if you want to think about that, take the building, wipe out the dump baby pool, run that building all the way down the whole baby pool, right? It's longer, make it 15 feet deeper. You can make a place there with a trial level, the full thing upstairs for the city. You could have a gym, you could have a recreation pool, you could have a sauna for the village residents to use all the time. And then when the baby pool's gone, they could build a whole new one over where that stupid building is nobody uses for concessions.
So
right?
I have people with
I don't
babies that are gonna be really upset.
No, but the concessions should be on the end of the new building, and I don't think it'd be upset, because you could build a much better
Okay.
baby area.
I think I'm really worried about the time. I think Rocky has fantastic ideas. I love them. At the same time, I think we have to divide and conquer. That's a lot that you're taking on at the moment. I think Kate is working with a strong team and they're going to be reaching out to you, but everybody's got to take a piece of this and get moving. So on that item will come back later. I hope you have nothing else to add.
Leave it this,
You're not
though.
gonna weigh in on, dude.
Yeah, just leave it this though. I don't think outside residents should be talking about our community center.
Can I just say,
My village residents.
Kate, go ahead.
sorry to get, there's two things that we're talking about. There is a community center, which is still up for discussion on, do we move the large community center, let's call it, to the DPW building and take over part of that. That it would be the overlap, Rocky, I think that we are potentially looking at. The pool building is, when I say pool building, that is solving for mostly pool related facilities needs, like showers, like changing areas, like a functional lifeguard staff area. Those would be the very pool specific things. So just so you're clear, I think there is, and maybe we have two community areas. So at the pool, for example, if a kid wants to have a pizza party, there is a smaller community area at the pool, but the large community area for Halloween parties, for yoga sessions, for the knitting group that wants to meet, that might happen in a different location. Those are still open questions. Nothing has been decided, but that is just historically how we have discussed it. Is when I say pool building, just so you're clear, Rocky, it's not about eating into the community center concept. It's more about the literal pool facilities.
Well, so for the last 3 that I've been on, we've looked at that same thing. And parking is the thing that kept driving it back over there. Where do you park downtown? And plus you got that equipment going in. It's just not a safe area. Everybody thinks we can do it, but the DPW's there and they're not moving. It's not a safe area. If you go over to where the pool building is and you turn it into a community center the community can use, the showers come along by default. That is what every group I've been on ended up with. And so if we want to start that in the fall, we can't sit around and talk about pool stuff. We talk about a community center that sits down there that by circumstance takes care of the pool's needs next year.
May I?
Very quick, 1 minute. I want 1 minute and then we're out of here. Go ahead.
Kate, you can keep in mind the fact that might house a community center as well as the pool, right? And then early discussions and then bring it back. Cool.
No, I'm not cool.
Okay,
Like,
so
I
here's
can't win
the
every
deal.
time.
Here's the problem. Here's the deal. I'm just going to share my opinion and reflections of myself. I'm not talking about anybody else. There's an enormous amount of work ahead of us. We've got to deal with garden homes. We have referendum issues. finance issues, meet personnel, hiring people. I cannot, and each person I think cannot have every say in everything. So I've got to trust that the pool team is comprised of smart, intelligent people with resources, and that whatever they come back with, I'm going to go with. I can't say the toilet's not where it is and delay the project. I'm going to trust Rocky to deliver on Village Hall and DPW. I'm not going to come in there and tell you what I think about the square footage. I'm going to trust you guys. 80% is good enough and we're going to proceed. I can't have a voice in everything. So if anybody has a question about the pool, Kate's leading it. If you've got a question about Village Hall and DPW, Rocky seems to be leading it.
Well,
Is that correct?
I'll give Kate DPW, I'll take the pool, because that's the most important thing to the village.
I believe that Kate is an intelligent, open-minded person who is taking in ideas.
This isn't about Kate. I'm really frustrated that non-residents have anything to say with that building. This isn't about Kate. It's about who's on that group. This is.
Okay, we're gonna talk about it at another time. Is that okay?
It's not on the meeting anyways for today. The pool, the building isn't. And I agree that it should have a community center component that should have more oversight than just the pool committee. So it's.
They're gonna figure it out and they're gonna bring us a
Will.
project. Because like you said months ago, do something. Could you just have a win on anything? You guys just sit there and study buildings year after year. It would be really nice for the residents if we could deliver something. It's not permanent, you can change it later, but give them something. Anything is better than where we're at. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Oh, we didn't do reports.
We don't have reports.
You said we get 1 second, right?
Sure.
It's not okay to say, can we do something with something that's made with brick and mortar? That thing will be there when my kids die. So this is not trivial. We have the money, we have the resources, we have the time to put in something good there.
We don't disagree. They want a new building. We don't disagree.
But the pool people are pool people. They'll take up 20% of that finished building, maybe a third.
Okay, don't assume there's disagreement. There's not disagreement yet. There's an assumption there is, but there might not be. Go ahead.
I'm with you on that, Pat Rocky. We'll watch it.
Just so it's not in parliamentary ether.
Adjourn.
There was no motion to table that item.
That item wasn't on the thing.
Is there,
Discussion.
can I get a motion to table? I motion to table the item
5,
5,
9, or 8,
8, 5,
D5, sorry.
D5. He knows what it is. Is there a second?
Seconded.
Second by Kate. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, motion carries. Is there a motion to adjourn?
I think, don't we have to get, oh, okay.
Go ahead.
Just sorry, are we not going to go, there's no committee report out and then future agenda items, we usually touch on that.
Sure. Would you like to add
Okay.
something?
Yeah, I had two. I think we should discuss a mechanism to, again, this is potential to, if we would like to include public comments in writing into our board packets, if there's like a section for that. I know we've had that challenge in the past. I know previous trustee Dietmar had some ideas as well. So just thinking about, is there a public comment section included in our board packet? That's a question mark. And then I think that Taylor provided some of the best pieces of feedback on how we could operationalize some of the board mechanisms, especially with like meeting minutes. So that's also in the board packet. We did not touch on that tonight. I just didn't want that to get lost. So if we want to include some kind of like operational improvements type future agenda item, I just want to make sure at a later date, the board can discuss some of his suggestions.
Excellent point.
I had one too.
Go ahead.
Possible review of the basement garage calculation for new board discussion.
Okay, excellent item added.
Oh, the far basement.
Got it.
Oh, no.
Basement garage.
That's for far? Okay.
Yeah.
Is there a motion to adjourn?
What?
I need a motion.
I'll make a motion.
Brian, 8 seconds. Have a
Sure.
wonderful time in Hawaii. We're adjourned at 8:56.
Safe travels.
Thanks.
Thank you.
May I just say, this is the most pleasurable meeting I have been at. With the collaborative interaction and problem solving.
Oh, you're talking about files and stuff like that.
Yeah, 500.
You should give the, you know, Bill Thomas read everything.
Yeah.
He's still alive.
Yeah, yeah.
It was not, I know it was,
Trial?
There was actually a recommendation to do that.
Cause he and I are the two that broke those codes.
You were in the show? Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
that's
Okay.
whatever the joke is.
Okay.
Because they passed them, like, right after I left the board, and the last two houses to be built without those rules are behind my house. Everyone makes a big joke about that. That's like, you know, yeah, no, I worked on those for like 6 years.
Okay.
Cause McMatches were all the rage back then.